Hey, hello, welcome. Sorry for the slight delay. We are so back. Hey, human. Evan, it's Kira. How's everything going? Hi. Umineko time. You already know it's Dower hour here on Rokenjima. We got some sadness to process together. Doing well. Resting from a quiz. I hope you did well on your quiz. I'm so glad I don't have to do quizzes anymore. So, what happened last time? Kind of a lot happened last time, right? So we have Angie, who is trying to figure out what happened on Rokenjima using largely Maria's diary as notes and kind of following the trail of that. It led her to find that am I quiet? No, I'm not quiet, right? It led her to find that there were notes written in kind of a different handwriting, but they were signed as Maria. And when double checking the handwriting in Maria's journal, it was Beatrice's handwriting. So what does that mean? I think that means that Beatrice is an alter ego / imaginary friend of Maria. Was an imagining of Maria in whatever this timeline is. Because we also followed then Angie's witch training, which largely consisted of manifesting and conversing with the Seven Sisters of Purgatory and maintaining concentration to communicate with them and listen to them and interact with them. Which, based on physical evidence and based on happenings, almost seems like they're also just kind of imaginations of Angie in her time of loneliness and stress at the school to stay entertained and positive. Angie, in her magical training, failed a big assignment, and the school... Hey, Blade, how's it going? So the school, her schoolmates kind of bullied her into being they're like, why aren't you studying? Why can't you be better? Blah, blah, blah. And in her being bullied, she was like, okay, enough of this. Seven Sisters of Purgatory, ban these people, kill them. And so they couldn't, obviously. And in their words, in the Seven Sisters' words, unless you're willing to do the killing, we can't do the killing for you. We merely carry out the will of our owner. We are just furniture. What I think that represents is a lot of the furniture is just a metaphorical representation of something that their owner is actually doing, meaning she would have to actually kill them in order to visualize the furniture doing it, but it was actually her doing it. So that didn't happen. So she said, very well then, if you won't listen to me, be gone with you. You're studying, let's kill my friend who wanted me to do better. That's not at all how it happened. That's not at all how it happened. So she said, be gone with you, I banish you, I don't want to work with you anymore. It's like, if I can do it, my magic friends can do it as well. What do I mean? I mean, they were telling her to kill herself because her grades were so bad. It's not like that's what I said. That is not what I said. they were bullying her. So in the now present, the year 1997 or 98, 1998, Angie resummons Mammon, the stake of envy, greed, or excuse me, the stake of greed. Those are two different ones, envy and greed. The stake of greed resummons her in order to now have her help with a new task of figuring out what happened on Rokujima. So, if we follow the no magic route, she is now revisiting her imaginations from school to help her figure this out with new evidence found in new writings about Rokujima. If we're to believe in the magical world, she is re-engaging with the magical world. I'm outside playing soccer right now. Well, have fun with that. That sounds better than watching visual novels. There'll be the VOD on YouTube if you do want to stay caught up. Okay. Angie also communicated with Maria and Sakutaro in this, and so I'm also thinking she's imagining them.
It's over.
It's over. Awful. Thank you for the resub. Thank you for 3 months of support, 3 months in a row. Welcome back to the tournament staff. Appreciate having you here. I appreciate it. I saw that Percival got buffed.
You see the Grand Blue patch?
Chiba, thank you for the resub. 7 months of support. Welcome back to the tournament staff. I appreciate it. Did I see the Grand Blue patch? Only a little bit of it. It looks pretty good. I'm chilling on that. Percival looks like he got buffed. So I'm kind of excited about that. I did not see the Grimnir notes. And I didn't really look at like the top tier notes. Good if you're not named Grimnir. Oh no, they nerf him? That's so unfortunate. Hold on, let me look it up. That's so sad if they nerfed Grim. Like, he was really good, don't get me wrong, but... Let's see... Grimnir. Grimnirs are mobile characters who can utilize a wealth of movement options in combat. With these balance adjustments, we aim to enhance his overall usability. Far-standing H has been tweaked to balance other changes in his mid and long-range tools. While it may be harder for him to stuff an opponent's poke, it remains effective with proper spacing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, nerf to Far 5H. Do I usually schedule what my next stream is? I try to say at the end when I think my next stream will be, but my schedule is often pretty tight. So I stream when I can, and I try to tweet about it as well, but I am admittedly pretty bad about scheduling my streams. The travel speed and distance for Dash M and Dash H have been improved, making it easier to land these. Okay. Projectile... Okay. To increase the difficulty and determine whether all versions of Deathrite Tempest were landing or being blocked, we've adjusted the version of the skill. H version, disadvantage varied. We believe the standardized disadvantage on block, disadvantage on hit remains unchanged. Changes to the L version are consistent with H. To differentiate M, we've lowered its disadvantage, making it viable for stealing advantage in meaty situations. That sounds decent. The U version can be followed up from mid-screen, so we've reduced its pushback on block and made it easier to counter. H Windcrest was too powerful, overshadowing the L and M versions, so we've increased its cooldown time. For the U version, we've increased its disadvantage on block and adjusted its hit stop, making it easier for opponents to counter after blocking. The mid-air version has also been given this disadvantage, both increased knockback. Okay. Far standing H. Active frames have been reduced from 5 frames to 2 frames. Holy crap. Second hit startup and total duration are unchanged. That's ass. So it's way less active as a mid-range poke tool. Dash M has been increased, Dash H has been increased. Dancing Storm. The appearance of the projectile has been adjusted to make it easier to tell when wind shift are valid. That's dumb. M Dancing Storm. Active frames have been increased. U Dancing Storm. Startup has been reduced. Travel speed has been increased. Perchance he is in the ground. No, there's no way. He's still fine. Mid-air hit stun has been increased. Because the Dash L into close M change is pretty good for him, honestly. Granted, he had Dash L into 5L at all ranges, but Dash L into close M is actually, like, I think really good for him. It gives him, like, juice off of Dash L, like, setup and stuff off of Dash L more often. M Winds of Temptation. Mid-air hit stun has been increased. Lateral knockback and launch height have been reduced, whatever. L Deathrite Tempest. Hitbox has been expanded upward. No longer begins recovery immediately after hit. Frame advantage now gradually increases the later in active frames the hit occurs. Okay, so that's the again the normalizing of disadvantage. Koji Fushiguro, thank you for the follow. Hey, whoa, huge fan. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the challengers. Did I talk about the uni patch in a previous stream? I don't think so. Let's see. M Death Ray Tempest. Recovery has been shortened by 3 frames, going to -7. H Death Ray Tempest. Hurt box has been expanded upwards. Now immediately enters recovery after hit stun, making total frame advantage always -8, regardless of distance traveled. Okay, whatever. U Death Ray Tempest. Pushback on block has been reduced. Whatever. H Windcrest cooldown time has been increased by 120 frames. Whoa. 2 more seconds of cooldown on H seals. That's ass. U Windcrest on ground. It's now -6, so it's punishable on block. Hit stop has been increased, making it easier to see. U Windcrest in midair has more landing recovery. Block stun has been decreased, and hit stop has been increased. Gale Dash. Midair hit stun is now 30 frames for most directions. Up is unchanged at 35. Up and up, back and up forward have been changed. And all others have been changed from 20 frames to 30 frames. Midair hit stun. Okay, so it's easier to combo off of it now. That's kind of good. Added input buffering when used aerially, such as grounded, upward direction, and midair version, so that jumping attacks and aerial skills can be used immediately after. That's going to give him some stuff, actually. People will find some stuff with that. Left or right, Gale Dash in midair no longer launches grounded foes. Anti-air, lateral knockback, and launch height have been reduced. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's definitely a nerf, but I think he's fine. I think in the ground would be an overstatement. I think he's fine. You just can't slam 5H, and you have to, when you set H seals, you have to make more out of it. Yeah, I mean, it's fighting games, right? Everyone's always being hyperbolic, but I think it's important to at least look at it pragmatically and speak to that, because when everybody is hyperbolic, nobody gets the real story. I am curious what the H Death Ray Tempest looks like, because reading it's a little confusing. That's the thing that I'm not sure about. I think with that said, the corner setup where you set the whirlwind, you go like, how does it go? I was doing it the other day. You hit a few times. H Death Ray means you're always -8. -8 on block though, right? Because I hope that's what it means. Because honestly, that's the cool part of that character is I don't remember what people were doing, but they were going H Death Ray, falling JH, JM, set seals. I don't remember the exact route, but it was really, really cool. And then it ended with dash down, dash up forward, dash down back, and then set a tornado. I think that routing will become a lot more common with H seals being a longer cooldown. Yeah, I think that's the wave now. Versus just going for fuzzy, because setting up H seals, you're going to want something that gives you a little bit of time after they wake up rather than just immediately going for a fuzzy. Big use to zoning buffs? Hell yeah. And yeah, the near rework is funny. We'll see. I'm going to play some more. I've been in on Percival, and Percival looks like he got big ass buffs, so I'm chilling on Percival. I'm going to try to play more, though. Uryu. Maria, answer me. Okay, wait, what's happening here? Oh, that's right. So... Oh, no. Oh, no, I'm going to cry. So what happened here? This was Angie telling Maria that Sakutaro is not real, right? So I really am a stuffed animal? I'm made of cloth and cotton? There's no way I can talk, so I can't talk to Maria. Sakutaro looked up at Maria sadly. Maria's face was covered with tears, and it looked as though it had lost all traces It had even lost all traces of sadness. I hear you, Sakutaro. You aren't a stuffed animal made of cloth and cotton. You're my friend. I hate Angie. Ugh. Uryu. Sorry, Maria. Sorry. Sakutaro regretted doing that. By freezing her heart, Maria had finally been able to escape from her sadness. By speaking up and calling her back, he'd caused her to be overwhelmed with sadness again. Sakutaro tried hugging Maria, letting go of her, and gazing at her uneasily, lost as though how he could bring Maria's spirits up. He might have looked a little humorous doing that. In the end, this was enough to distract Maria from her sadness. Sorry. Crying won't help anything anymore. You got in a fight with Angie, but you still have lots of friends, Maria. I'm not the only one. Everyone's here. Sakusuke, Sakakichi, the animal band, and many more. Maria looked at the many stuffed animals around her pillow, which were gathered together as though they were having an idle chat. Everyone is worried about you, Maria. They're all talking over and over about how to cheer you up, okay? Everyone won't go away, like Angie? They won't. We'll always be together. Kids are cruel. Really? All of you are only with me at home? We can't go out together when Mama's around, and we can't go to school. You aren't supposed to take us to school. So you'll get in trouble if the teacher finds out. But if no one finds out, we can be together at any time. Sakutaro, you're big, so you'd be found. Then you can take one of the kids that are small enough to walk around with. For example, what about them? If you take the friends in the forest band, look, they're small. So you can hide them in your pocket and go to school together. Oh, there's a lot of them in the band. I can fit them all in my pocket. She collected all of the forest band pieces that were scattered across her bed. There were about as many of them as pieces in a chess set, so it would probably be impossible to fit them all in her pocket. In that case, you can just take friends that you are especially close with. You can take the 4 rabbits, your best friends in the forest band. I could fit 4 in my pockets. Yeah, this way they won't be found. Now, you won't be alone, even at school, Maria. The kids will be with you even where I can't go. It's nice that Sakutaro is trying to make compromises for Maria to not be lonely without him. Yeah, man, this breaks my heart, dude, like, because this is all just Maria talking to herself, right? Like, this is all her own idle chatter. So, I don't know, it's so sad. Yeah, maybe I won't be lonely that way. Maybe I can hold out until coming from school. It's like so, I don't know. It's so innocent. As long as we aren't found by the teacher and Mama, we can be with you at any time. You can believe in magic? That's true, I can believe in magic. It's an alternative to making this sad. So let's be together and play together forever. We definitely won't leave you all alone, Maria. This does make me ask the question, like, did she bring any of these to the island? Or, oh, I wonder if, like, Rosa just forbade her from bringing anything to the island. Maria's expression finally regained a little bit of its brightness. That's right. In the beginning, Maria's world didn't have Angie in it. Even without Angie, it was fun with everyone. And yet, strangely enough, it suddenly became sad without Angie, who had come in at the end. All that's happened is that I've returned to the world right before Angie entered it. Sakutaro could be inner Maria's attempt to grow up as a happy person. Yeah. It's very mature in a lot of ways, just, you know, immature in its presentation. There's nothing to be sad about. Yeah, I'm not lonely. Sakutaro and the others are with me. Ryu. I love you, Maria. I won't let any more humans come into my world. Marriage Sorcier is an alliance between me and Beatrice only. From the start, even Beatrice didn't want to let Angie join. It's all right this way. Angie was still too young. For now, until you can be friends with Angie again, I think it's okay to forget about it. You can play together once you've regained your high spirits, Maria. Till then, all of us will be by your side. Thank you, Sakutaro. Thank you, everyone. Aw, poor baby. Then, Maria once again regained her former world. She regained the world that wasn't lonely, where she was surrounded by many friends. Just like usual, she didn't have any human friends at school, but her magic friends were always with her. The rabbit band she hid in her pockets talked with her during class, sounding like they were having fun. Just listening to that greatly embellished the time she spent in class. Maria made it so that, as long as Mama and the teacher didn't find out, her other friends could always be with her. When Mama told Maria to go play outside, Maria would secretly pack Sakutaro and Sakusuke and the rest into her bag and play together at the library or somewhere. Even when Mama was late coming home and Maria went shopping for dinner, she always went with Sakutaro. The man at the convenience store and the other people were nice to Sakutaro. He sometimes gave a second portion free for Maria and Sakutaro. When Mama found out, Maria would get in trouble for bringing Sakutaro and the rest outside. When the teacher found out, Maria would get in trouble for bringing toys to school. The toxin must be strong in Mama and the teacher. That's why Sakutaro looks like a normal stuffed animal to them. After all, the convenience store man and the others say hello to Sakutaro. Not all humans are hopeless. There are tons of people who, unlike Angie and Mama and teacher, can say hello to magical friends like I can. Oh, Maria, welcome. Was your mama late coming home tonight too? Yeah, but I've got Sakutaro, so I'm not lonely. Right, Sakutaro? Good you. It's not just Sakutaro today. Some other friends came too. Oh, other friends? What kind of friends did you bring today? Today, the rabbits from the forest band are also with me. Look, in my pocket. Maria began to line up 4 ceramic rabbit dolls on the register. The owner of the shop looked at it, smiling. He sent a signal to a part-timer with his chin. Then, the sign on the other register that said closed was taken down, and a voice called out for everyone to move over there. All of the people in line behind Maria lined up behind that one. I see, I see. You do have a lot of friends, Maria. But I hope your mama comes home soon. Mama's busy with work again, so she's spending the night at the company. It's been very busy lately. She hasn't even been able to get much time to talk to me on the telephone. But I'm not lonely. I've got Sakutaro and the rest. Right? I've even got all the rabbits from the band. Look. Ah, is Q the sound a rabbit makes? Why? I've never heard that. After smiling at Sakutaro, who was poking his head out of her knapsack, he played around with the rabbit band on the register, making them frolic about. Although the shop manager gazed at this pleasantly, he had a slightly pitying look on his face. This was apparently a single-mother household, where the mother had to work hard and couldn't come home very often. On top of that, it looked like this girl didn't even have any friends. As he watched her play around happily with her dolls and claimed that she wasn't lonely despite everything, he couldn't help but feel a kind of compassion. And actually, this wasn't limited to him alone. Maria had become quite famous in the shopping district. Maria, you should eat some oden every once in a while. If you don't eat your eggs and fish paste, you won't get big, ew. Ooh. Can't get a cream roll? You don't eat certain things, you won't get big. How about oden for today? Then I'll have some oden. Alright, that's the ticket. Why don't I stick a whole bunch in there? Want mustard? Would you? I can't handle spicy things. I see. Well, I'll make sure you don't... Then make sure you don't let it spill on the way home. It'll sure be delicious while it's hot. Ah, thank you. She had planned on getting some sweet pastries for dinner, but since oden had been recommended to her, she would be having that tonight instead. Letting someone else determine the menu makes for an unexpected and interesting meal. Very often, Maria had to decide what her dinner would be on her own, so it was easy for the menus to get a little one-sided. So it felt fun to have a meal she hadn't anticipated. Thanks for giving us extra, mister. Send my regards to your other friends at home. No stuffing yourself on your way back. Go straight home and eat it there. Thanks, mister. Maria raised the bag with the oden container high. Makes me wonder if Rosa had met this store guy more personally, would things had went differently? Yeah, I wonder. Oh man. Huh? Would you? What is it, Maria? The key isn't in my pocket. Uh-oh. Standing in front of the door to her house, Maria searched all over her body. The key to the house wasn't there. She always methodically put it in the same pocket, but there was no way she had put it in another pocket. But she had searched her whole body just in case. Unsurprisingly, it wasn't there. Oh, did you drop it when you took your wallet out? No. When I took my wallet out, I definitely felt it. I also felt it when I searched my pocket partway there. It was there until partway. I didn't drop it. Uh-oh. Even though the late autumn wind had been bearable when Maria had been thinking of returning home, where the heater was, now that she was confused and had lost her key, the wind tormented her. But no matter how hard she searched, she couldn't find her key. She turned out all her pockets and even tried taking off her jacket and hitting it, but to no avail. Of course, she also turned the knapsack Sakutaro was in upside down, but the key didn't come out. Ugh. Something that should have been there wasn't where it was supposed to be. Why isn't the key there when it didn't do anything wrong? Why isn't it? Why? Maria was cold and frustrated and angry, and she stamped on the ground. The bottom of her foot throbbed, and that didn't lessen her frustration. At the same time, her tears poured out. It wasn't her fault, so it was someone else's fault. But Maria didn't know that's who that someone was, and could do nothing but continue to let out a moan of anger. Oh, I'm sure you dropped it part way. Let's look for it, okay? Let's return to the road we came and search, okay? Even though I went through all the trouble of buying oden and got eggs and stuff for free, I won't be able to eat it while it's hot. Ugh. Maria, I know it's frustrating, but let's search, okay? It's no one's fault, so let's search. Maria finally lent an ear to Sakutaro's words and began to trot back down the road she had come on. The wind was colder than before, and it felt like it was blowing through the corners of her jacket in a mean way. Let's watch our feet closely and search, okay? Then let's get home quickly, let the heater warm us up, and eat oden. I'm sure it'll be delicious. Oh, it's gone. As Sakutaro encouraged her, Maria searched for the key. But she made it all the way back to the convenience store where she'd bought the oden. She hadn't found it. Just in case, she asked the man at the convenience store if they had found a dropped key. But they hadn't found anything. One more time, she returned home, paying close attention to the area around her feet. But unsurprisingly, she didn't find it. She was no longer frustrated enough to stomp her feet. But hot tears dripped down her face. The oden had cooled down completely. Even though she had been told it would be delicious when warm, she hadn't been able to eat it. Even though the man had given her so much free stuff. Don't cry. Mama isn't coming back tonight. Let's do our best and search. Why can't I find it? Maria, don't cry. Let's do our best and search. Maria? Maria was no longer able to hold back her tears. Sobbing, she clutched Sakutaro and held the bag of oden, returning once more down the road she had come by. Perhaps because more and more houses and stores had turned off their lights by now, it was even darker and harder to search than before. And once again, without finding the key, she returned to the convenience store. Maria, still can't find your key? My key is gone. Wasn't your mother away for the night? So you can't get into your house without a key. I can't get in. Well, that's not good. Did you try going to the police? They might be able to help you. Mama said not to talk to policemen, even if they started talking to me. Oh? Well, why is that? It was probably because Rosa would be liable for making such a young girl like Maria watch over the house by herself, and because she knew that this wasn't something that would be permitted by society. So Maria was indoctrinated into changing the stores she'd bought things at, so that they didn't catch the eyes of adults, and saying no more than greeting to the policeman, even if they talked to her. Maria had obediently done as she was told. Instead of considering why she must do that, she was much more concerned with meekly obeying because her mother had told her so. But the manager of the convenience store probably didn't think of it that way. In the first place, seeing such a young girl being forced to watch over the house all alone, and so frequently, would make anyone worry. And then, after making the round trip between her home and the store once more, and arriving at the convenience store for a third time, a policeman was there. It's that child. Maria, did you find your key? No. What's your name, miss? The policeman asked her name, but Maria didn't answer. Did your mother tell you not to talk to policemen? Don't worry. No need to be scared of me. Have you eaten dinner yet, miss? I bought some, but I couldn't get into my house, so I couldn't eat it. Oh, what's your mother doing? Is she not coming home tonight? Is it her work? Do you know how we can contact your mother at work? Maria hung her head limply. She didn't understand why the policeman was getting mad at her. No, he probably wasn't getting mad at her, but if this reached her mother's ears, then she would definitely be in trouble. Even if she didn't understand the reason why she would be in trouble, she at least understood that much. But the policeman wouldn't let Maria go, and her head was swimming from hunger. The policeman noticed that, and it was decided that he'd listen to her story as they ate in the police box. Maria was taken to the police box. She had her oden heated in a microwave, and even salty rice cakes and hot tea were brought out for her. She had been told not to talk to policemen. But after being asked about Sakutaro, she responded, starting to feel that this wasn't such a bad person. And anyway, she wouldn't be able to return home now, so she didn't know what to do. She told him Mama's work phone number, which she had been told to tell no one of and to use only in a very, very serious situation. In the tatami room inside the police box, as she ate the oden that was so hot it felt like it would burn her, she watched the policeman making phone call, lazily thinking, I'm probably going to get in trouble. Will Mama get mad at me? This is bad. He must have been listening to the phone ringing for a very long time. With the receiver up to his ear, the policeman looked up at the clock, grumbling. I guess babysitters weren't a thing at the time? I would guess that, like, Rosa might not be able to afford a babysitter. Or might not want... I think what Rosa is doing is illicit, and or she's ashamed of it, right? I think it's something, it's either like sex work or something like illegal, like thievery or something, that either she would get in legal trouble for, or she's like really ashamed of, that she has to do to make ends meet. And so in the same vein of her saying don't talk to police officers to Maria, I think it's like, if I hire a babysitter this often, they're going to start questioning what I'm doing and find out, and that'll be bad. And so she's instead just having Maria by herself, which has apparently worked for quite a while, but she shouldn't be too surprised that this eventually happens. She's probably just going to unload on Maria, though. Could be a social thing, like you aren't capable of taking care of a child, a social death can happen. Very possible. She's also an Ushiromiya, right, where, like, the name is very, like, well known in the business world. With the receiver up to his ear, the policeman looked up at the clock, grumbling. Maybe they aren't picking up because their business hours are over. Huh? Hello? Hello? Is this Auntie Rosa Ltd? This is the Komatsugawa Police Department, police box in front of Senbon Sakura Station. Is President Udaikan? No, wait. President Oshiromiya available? This is probably pretty important because... Oh, maybe that's her ex-husband, Udaikan. Yes. What? She's on vacation? Oh. Yes. Starting yesterday, the president has been on a 3-day vacation. Oh, hell no. This is the worst possible outcome. This isn't Rosa. This isn't Michael. This isn't Rosa making ends meet and having to do it. This is Rosa, like, going to those hot springs for fun to get a break from Maria. Is there some business you have with her? Oh, no, never mind. So, do you know where she might be? You haven't heard where to contact her, have you? Hold on one second. Hey, anyone heard where the president went for her vacation? How to contact her? I heard she was going for all-you-can-eat crabs in Sapporo with her boyfriend. Oh, I'm sure such a cold place would do wonders for shrinking the distance between them, don't you? I haven't heard how to contact them. Understood. Hello? I hear she went to Sapporo, but I'm not sure about how to reach her. Could I take a message? I see. What a shame. Well then, if you manage to get in touch with her again, could you tell her that we called? Sure, yes. After that, I was taken to the police department, which was even bigger, and ended up spending the night there. But then they asked various things about myself. A lady who called herself the district welfare officer came by and asked about a lot of things. I was told, "You poor thing." When I heard that, I learned for the first time. Am I a poor thing? Uryu. That's not true. You're happy, Maria. Oh. Rosa has a boyfriend and is on vacation with him. And apparently things were rocky between them. I wonder if things were rocky between them because of Maria. Or things were rocky with them with past boyfriends because of Maria. And so she hides Maria from, like, future boyfriends. Oh, she is just the worst. Then Rosa came back. Maria was told to go to her room. But on her way back from the bathroom, she hid the entrance to the living room and listened in on the exchange. The person who had come to visit was the female district welfare officer who had asked Maria various questions on that other day. I guess the stress took a huge amount of toll on Rosa that she slowly started to lose her sense. Dude, it's inexcusable. I mean, you could maybe say that, and that might be like the reason, but it's still just, it's so bad. You can't be so pushy. Maria's heart is too innocent and delicate, so if there was an insensitive kid there, she could be hurt. Please stop your pointless meddling. But in that case, miss, if the child is so delicate, why leave her home all alone? Shouldn't a mother be together with her child? I am together with her as much as I should be. I don't need to take instructions from you for something like that. Oh, really? She's very well known in this area. They say your daughter frequently goes out at night to buy things and eat. Everyone was worried and looking out for her. How do you know this was my child? There's got to be plenty of children around this town, right? Don't just suddenly decide that it's my Maria. Kids sometimes walk around outside at night, right? How can you prove that they were all my child? It's well known around the shopping center that a girl holding a lion stuffed animal often stops by to eat dinner and buy things. Everyone treated Maria with care and out of concern for her. Sometimes, people even escorted her home, thinking the night roads might be dangerous. Don't you see? You can find lion stuffed animals anywhere. It was none of their business escorting her home. Are they thinking of kidnapping Maria? Don't bother her. Maria's my child. I'm raising her. I have no intention of putting her in some strange institution. Stop your needless meddling. Does that lion stuffed animal mean me? It's okay. I'm the one in trouble. It has nothing to do with you, Sakutaro. Maria hugged Sakutaro, continuing to watch her mother fearfully. I also wish I could be with Maria every day. But I'm a single mother, so I have to work. I may not look it, but I'm a president of a company, and I bear responsibility for my employees' well-being. Yes, yes, raising my child. Parentheses, not doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, hide Sakutaro's right. This might be why we didn't see Sakutaro at Rokonjima. I also think, hearkening back to a previous thought, Maria might not have been wanted. Maria might have been born under circumstances for Rosa. Like, Rosa's pretty young, right? Maria might have been born under circumstances where Rosa got pregnant with a guy, like, and wasn't ready for a child, or for other, you know, less wholesome reasons. And maybe she's just like, I don't even want to look at her. And I bear responsibility for my employees' well-being. I'm busy with my work all year round, so there's no time for me to rest. Really? But you've been on vacation these last 3 days, haven't you? I have not been on vacation. I've stayed at my company all night, working. There's a mountain of matters to be taken care of that the other unreliable employees cannot handle. Why are you lying? Someone from your company said that you were taking a 3-day vacation. You went to Hokkaido with your boyfriend, right? Leaving your daughter by yourself for 3 whole days. I don't know anything about this boyfriend, and I don't know anything about Hokkaido. Where are you getting this nonsense? Do you have proof? Don't just start butting in on someone else's family matters. I love Maria. I have my own way of loving her, so just keep your mouth shut. I didn't go on vacation. I was working the whole time. That is actually possibly true. She might tell her... So there's a couple things that might be happening here. She might tell her company she's going on vacation and then go do things that like keep the business running. Again, these like maybe illegal matters, maybe some fraudulent stuff, crimes and stuff. Very possibly she might be, she might be like literally witch hunting and stuff. Like she could totally be like a witch hunter. We don't know what's happening when she's out all night for like days at a time. I was trying to finish things up at work with all my strength all my strength because I wanted to see Maria as soon as I could. I stayed at the company the whole time. She's not a criminal? I don't think she's a criminal either. I don't know. Anything about Hokkaido. Just don't go ahead and say something like that. Just get out. Get out. What's wrong with you? Get out. But if she's a witch hunter, that would prove witches exist? True. I don't even know what to think anymore, dude. Rosa raged, her hair flying wildly. The teacup was knocked over by the force of her standing up. But far louder than that was the sound of her beating the table with both hands. Bro! What is she doing? What is she doing? When faced with this rage that could accurately be described as wide-eyed derangement, the district welfare officer couldn't help but be taken aback. And the same went for Maria, who was secretly watching this from the hallway. She had already seen her mother in a rage several times before this, which she never had seen her crazed with anger. When she saw this, Maria was sure. This was no longer her mother. This was some other evil being that was possessing her mother's body. And then she herself was discovered by the evil being. Maria knew that she was being reflected in the evil being's eyes. Her mind went blank, and she felt as though her field of vision was racing off into the distance. After fiercely closing in on Maria, Rosa mercilessly slapped her on her small shoulders and dropped her gaze toward the stuffed animal Maria was holding. No! Maria, even though I told you so many times not to take that outside, you brought it with you, didn't you? Oh no, dude. It isn't Maria's fault. I told her to take me. That's not true. I brought Sakutaro on my own because I was lonely. So, Mama, it isn't Sakutaro's fault. Oh, Maria. It's not Sakutaro's fault. It's not his fault. Instead of Maria, the brunt of Rosa's anger was aimed at the lion-stuffed animal Maria was holding. A girl went shopping in the middle of the night, always clutching a lion-stuffed animal. Because of that, she had become well known in the shopping center. Didn't I tell you not to take stuffed animals with you? Dude, did Rosa really have the foresight to be like, if she takes stuffed animals with her, people are going to start to notice a pattern? Is that like plausible deniability? Why can't you listen to what Mama says? Why? Why can't you just follow my rules? With every single word, she stamped her heel and banged furiously on the wall. Of course, she didn't make direct contact with Maria. However, the violence of the harsh sound certainly beat against her. Isn't the welfare officer, like, literally seeing herself out right now? Could you wait? Oh, she's in the building. She's in the building still. Miss, stop that. Let go. I said let go, damn it. The district welfare officer had come back to her senses and was pinning Rosa's arm behind her back. But the instant Rosa was touched, she went wild, furiously throwing the welfare officer off. Oh my god. She hit the table and fell to the ground. A teacup on the table smashed on the floor, making a violent sound. Maria didn't do anything wrong. It's my fault. Don't scold Maria. I'm the one who brought Sakutaro. It's not Sakutaro's fault. It's not his fault. So don't look at Sakutaro with those scary eyes. Don't look at him. Oh, this is a nightmare scenario. Don't scold Maria. You. What are you doing just now? And a minute ago, too. Do you also play with dolls like that outside? Do you do that in front of people in the store? What? So that's why they remembered you. Die, you brainless moron. Why are you such a dumbass? She's none. Answer me honestly. When you went out, you always walked around with that stuffed animal without telling Mama, right? Oh no, hey Doobie. Yeah, you about 30 minutes in probably. I talked about some Grand Blue Patch notes for a minute. Stop using that weird stuffed animal talk. Speak with your own words, not with the stuffed animals. Sakutaro is not a stuffed animal. He's my friend. Don't call him a stuffed animal. Don't. Yeah, I get it. It was called Sakutaro, was it? You took him with you all the time when you went shopping without telling me. Yeah. Maria admitted it honestly. If she hadn't admitted it, then Sakutaro would have said something to take the blame. So by admitting it right away, she was protecting her small friend. Only Sakutaro? Any others? You haven't been bringing weird things to school too, have you? Miss, surely your daughter has done nothing wrong. She's 9. She's probably 8 here. Stop the interrogation at once. You, stay quiet. I'm talking with my daughter, aren't I? Come on, Maria. Look at Mama when you talk. Yeah, Rosa's falling on the tier list pretty far. Come, Maria, look at Mama when you talk. What's the answer to my question? It wasn't just Sakutaro. All the rabbits are with me, too. You have them with you now? Maria fished around in her pockets, pulling out 4 ceramic rabbits with her tiny hand. Maria's 9. Well, Maria's 9 on Rokkenjima. We don't know that this happened the year of the family conference. This could have happened a little bit before. The rabbits were her close friends, so they could be together with her at school in Sakutaro's place. But when Rosa saw that, she shook her head slightly as though dizzy. On a school notice, it had been written that Maria was apparently bringing toys to school and playing with them. And her family was instructed to try to prevent this. But Rosa had rejected that, blaming the teacher and phoning in a protest of her own to the school, saying that there was no way her child would bring toys to school. For nearly an hour, she had shouted at the vice principal to stop making false accusations about her daughter. To a certain degree, those at the school had grasped that Maria was a pitiful girl, and knew that the small toys she brought in were her only friends. So they had done the best to overlook it. But when the other students caught sight of them, some of the boys had started complaining that only she could bring toys, and the school had racked their brains on how to cope with this. They had tried to gently send a warning by way of the mother, but after Rosa's overreaction, even Maria's teacher decided to overlook it. But now Rosa knew. She had been the only one who was wrong, and her daughter really had been bringing toys to school. And those at the school had known that she was a disgrace who brought toys to school and played with them as though they were her only friends. To Rosa, who thought the daughter was just a little different from normal children, having this peculiar side of her daughter exposed and found fault with was, more than anything else, something that she could not bear. So she howled. She raged. The district welfare officer tried to cut between Rosa and Maria again, but she only met Rosa's wrath once more. Rosa once again threw the woman off with a face like a demon, and when even that failed to curb her anger, she stomped on the ground over and over again so forcefully that it seemed she might break through the floor. Then, after seeming to come back to her senses for a second, she immediately froze her harsh breathing and asked Maria, "Maria, those rabbits in the band, are they your close friends?" I see. Isn't it great that you have a full 4 friends?" As she said that, Rosa grabbed one of the rabbits from Maria's hand. She then shoved it in front of Maria's eyes so that she could see it very well. The cute rabbit holding a trumpet was a small doll like a chess piece. She slowly lifted it into the air. Of course, Maria and Sakutaro's eyes also followed it. And then, with a speed that the eye couldn't follow, she smashed it against the wall. What? What is wrong with Rosa? There's clearly something wrong with Rosa. Hey, Popcat. Is that the top 8 Rysair? Yes. We top 8'd the regional. Heck yeah. Big W. Oh. Dude, what is wrong with Rosa? I cannot. We're going to have some... I'm telling you, we are going to have some buffer tiers on the new tier list that will put Rosa below bottom tier. Have we gone over the entire sibling dynamic with the parents? Well, yeah, like, generally speaking, Ash. Hey, Mike, wish you a good stream. Thank you. Generally speaking, yes, that they all just called Rosa dumb and basically, you know, ostracized her while they were all growing up. I don't know if they've gotten too much more into detail than that. Currently catching up on all the double vision. Hell yeah. We shouldn't even be putting Rosa on a tier list. We should be putting her behind bars. Facts. We pin that. Oh, then things slowly make sense with Rosa? Okay. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, makes sense is I guess makes sense. Yes. Is acceptable? Absolutely not. So she instantly realized what had been done. Maria let out a short, despairing scream. It was in pieces. It had been small and sturdy, but that hadn't been enough to withstand her mother's fierce rage. Because you didn't listen when Mama told you, I broke one of them. From now on, every time you disobey something I say, I'll break another one. Remember that. Miss, you think you could call yourself a mother after doing something like that? You think you could do something like that and not hurt your daughter? Hurt Maria? I'm also hurting. Yeah, what about me? Who's gonna take responsibility for my wounds? Well, who is? Didn't I tell you to shut up? Oh, stop it, Mama. It's my fault. Don't get mad at this lady. Rosa didn't have someone to look over Maria. Her siblings tormented her. Beatrice. Then the stress of work, company, and status as a mother. Combine all that and we wind up getting this? Yeah, I mean, sure. It still makes her the worst. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know there's like family save face and like obligation and stuff, but you don't let it get to this point. And doing this in front of a welfare officer is maternal suicide. I mean, maybe she wants Maria... Pause, champ. Maybe she wants Maria to be taken away. Maybe she's doing this so that the social worker will go back and be like, this daughter is unfit to stay with this lady. This also explains why at the end of episode 2, in the... I think it was the question mark tea party... The question mark tea party, that Beatrice reveled in tormenting Rosa, right? Beatrice and Maria are friends. He was ashamed to bring a toy to school, right? Like this is such an overreaction. Oh no, no. It isn't Maria's fault, it's mine. Don't get mad at Maria. Didn't I tell you to stop playing with stuffed animals like that? In the first place, it's disgusting. You say a stuffed animal is your friend. Just how old are you? How old? Well? This is just a gross, crappy stuffed animal made of cloth and cotton, right? Oh, look at him. This was Maria's favorite gift from her mother, and now her mother's calling it a gross, crappy stuffed animal. This could be the Prestige, though. There could be two Rosas. This could be the Prestige. This is literally what happens in the Prestige. In that the two... Spoilers for a 15-year-old movie. But in the Prestige, the two brothers that were both pretending to be... oh my god, what's his name? I keep wanting to say Burner, but it's not Burner. The two brothers who... Christian Bale. The two brothers who were Christian Bale. Fallon and can't remember his name, but you know, one of them actually loved the wife that they were married to, but they both had to spend time with that wife. And when it was the brother who had to spend time with the wife, he hated that lady, and so he would just be like this, right? Like this Rosa could be a second Rosa that hates Maria. And then there's a Rosa that loves Maria because it's actually Rosa's daughter. Yeah, and Maria did say she was possessed by a witch, right? Like, she basically said, my mom has two modes. My mom has two personalities. One that's very nice and gives me gifts like Sakutaro and plays with me and indulges me when I... And one... Wait, that makes a lot... I bet that's it. I bet that's it, dude. There are two Rosas. And one of them is Maria's mother and one of them is not. They both have to play the same role for some reason. We'll find that out probably. And the one that went to Rokkenjima, was the evil Rosa, for lack of a better word. And she's the one that killed everybody. All we saw in Rokkenjima was Rosa being abusive to Maria. There's a clone Rosa? I don't think a clone. I think a twin. I think this is the Prestige. I think I almost want to lock that in because it's the only one that kind of makes sense. And then, and then one of the Rosas is running the company, and one of the Rosas is out having drinks with her boyfriend in Hokkaido or whatever. And that was happening simultaneously. So they're both true. And that fits into the theme that truth, there are multiple truths until something is observed, right? That fits into the theme of the story. I think there's... And when we say then that there are 18 people on the island, maybe both Rosas eventually got to the island but didn't start there, or something like that. But I think Sakutaro's about to die, so I might cry. This thing is so cute. This would make a sick playmat, by the way. This would make a sick, playmat. The Sakutaro doll. I think it would be so sick. Is this the only kind of friend you have? If you have enough spare time to pretend this monstrous stuffed animal is your friend, go out and make some real human friends. Why can you never make any friends? Yeah, because at the end of episode 2, she was apologizing for being a bad mother. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. Now, you could also go the route that she has, actually some kind of two personality where, a switch triggers and she's two different people. Ripping my shirt off to reveal a Yakuza-esque back tattoo, except it's Sakutaro. That would be so sick. And then it's a boss battle title. Whoa! Smelly Man, thank you for the raid. How have you been? Welcome, welcome. Fire Kitty Cat 2, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the challengers. Hi, raiders. Welcome, welcome. My name is Rysair, tournament organizer and VTuber. I largely play fighting games on this channel and visual novels. Today we are reading Umineko When They Cry, Episode 4. This is the 23rd stream in this series, in this very long visual novel. There's 8 episodes of this, and we're in episode 4. Come back in here, Thorn. This is so sad. But yeah, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. I'm chilling. I just top 8'd a Grand Archive Regional yesterday. Came home today, and chilling on some Umineko. Yeah, this part is... Thorn, this makes me think my double Rosa theory, the double helix Rosa theory, might be a little bit real. Nice, thank you. Yeah, I hope you had a good stream. Let me give you a quick shouty. And for those of you who have not read Umineko but are interested in doing so, we have a YouTube series of all these VODs. So if you want to go watch it on YouTube, that's one option.
I'm pissed.
And if you don't care about Umineko spoilers and just want to vibe, you're welcome to hang out. I guess, trigger warning, this is a very sad story. And there's a lot of themes of familial problems and all that. So just a heads up, it is not a happy story right now. For a comfy stream? Hell yeah. But thank you for the raid. Go do what you got to do. That goes for the viewers as well. But if you want to hang and vibe with us, we are reading some stories. So... why can you never make any friends? That's what makes that's why your class always treats you like a weirdo and makes fun of you. This is definitely a different person. Either through some psychological thing or literally being a different person. This is not the Rosa that Maria had dinner with on her birthday. This is not the Rosa that gave birth to Maria. Give it a rest and get a hold of yourself already. Grow up from the stuffed animal play. Like I said, stop playing with that stuffed animal. No! Give him back. Give Sakutaro back. No! Mama grabbed hold of Sakutaro's head and took him from me. She then smashed him against the wall over and over. It hurts. And she's still talking as Sakutaro. I said stop, damn it. I told you to stop that stuffed animal act. It's because of this stuffed animal. That's why you can never make any friends. That's why you alone are pushed off to the side in your class and treated like a freak. I should never have given you that stuffed animal like this. I should never have given you such a disgusting stuffed animal. Yeah, there's just a welfare worker watching this. Again, I think that might be part of Rosa's plan, is to just make a horrid display of this. Stop it! Give Sakutaro back. He's my friend. He's my best friend. As long as Sakutaro's there, I don't need anything else. So give him back. For some reason, my frantic request just added oil to the fire of Mama's anger. Mama pushed my arm aside as I tried to grab Sakutaro and snatch him back. And in a bizarre way, she stuck her fingernails in both hands deep into Sakutaro, twisting him. The red muffler, which I had carefully wrapped for him every day, came off and fell to the floor. Sakutaro, who had been so precious to me, was twisted, smashed, torn out with fingernails so much. He was twisted painfully, his face curving in sadness. Then Mama's fingernails found a stitch in the neck and tore it. With the fingernails of both hands, she tore it apart. Dude. In that instant, Sakutaro's yellow cloth and the cotton inside burst apart. It looked almost like moist cotton candy. Maria. Sakutaro. The crumpled yellow cloth and cotton candy flowing out were thrust right in front of my eyes. Then, through Mama's face, the evil being stated it clearly. Hold on, did they update the... Oh no. Sakutaro. Lady Maria's white heart, which was torn apart. His broken vessel can only be regenerated by the Meister who created him, Rosa. However, Rosa disappeared of Vessel's fragments and even lost the pattern paper. On top of that, his existence was denied by Meister herself, so his resurrection is now impossible. The Meister died in 1986, and any chance for his resurrection disappeared for all time. Even the endless witch Beatrice could not manage it. Sakutaro is dead. Mabagaguri? Gyogo. Yuguki, Kutaro, Sakutaro. Oh, she's just blubbering. Aww. Aww. Maria, do not cry. Sakutaro was a good friend. As long as you do not forget that, he will always be with you. So do not cry. Bring him back to life. You can use a lot of magic, Beto. So you can even bring him back to life, right? About that. Of course, if Sakutaro had been my furniture, it would be easy. However, Sakutaro is your furniture. That makes it difficult for me. If you say it's difficult, that means it isn't impossible, right? Bring him back. Bring him back with the endless magic. To tell the truth, Sakutaro's vessel was a stuffed animal Rosa made herself, correct? That Rosa has denied Sakutaro. A life is not permitted by its own mother. A life that is not permitted by its own mother cannot exist. Beatrice's words were feeble, because she knew that, no matter what the excuse, it wouldn't be enough to calm Maria and make her accept it. But she had to communicate the painful truth to her disciple and close friend. She had to tell her the facts. That even with all of her own power, even she could not revive Sakutaro. I get how resurrecting Sakutaro could work. They would have to... Rosa would have to do it with her witchcraft. As long as you continue to strongly believe in his existence, that soul will not disappear. So Maria, please, Do not be sad. Even now, look, believe that Sakutaro is smiling right over there. No. You have to bring Sakutaro back to life. She kind of sounds like Rosa. Give it up. There's no magic to revive Sakutaro. Despite that, you must strongly believe that Sakutaro will continue to exist as your close friend. That power will become magic. That's not magic. You have to bring him back to life. You can't do it because Mama made him herself? Why did Mama make him? It was to give him to me as a present, right? It was to make him my friend. So why did Mama make it herself and then break it? Why did Mama give birth to it by herself and then try to break it herself? I don't understand. I hate Mama. I hate her. I can't stand it. It's too sad. I want to smash her up like she did to Sakutaro. I want to stick my fingernails in and tear her, turn her into a cloth and cotton. I can't stand it, Beatrice. From the darkness behind Maria's back, two massive jet black arms crept out, twisting around Maria as she sobbed in anger. Then, massive fingernails stuck into her chest and stomach. Maria could not see that, but Beato could. Anger and sadness without any place to go will tear you apart. Beato knew that, so she could see that. Yes, in the end, those massive arms were Maria's own. Those fingernails slowly started to eat into her chest and stomach. With their immense size and strength, those arms could probably tear Maria into bits easily. But Maria herself couldn't notice. Drowning in a sea of her own tears, she couldn't notice that her own arms were trying to tear apart her own chest. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. If Sakutaro can't be brought back to life no matter what, I want revenge. I want to make Mama meet the same end. I want her to meet the same end as Sakutaro. Beatrice, teach me magic for that. Teach me magic to beat her. Thinking to the end of episode 2, they did stuff Rosa and then tear her apart. It's very interesting. That all kind of ties together. Almost like what Maria wanted happened at the end of episode 2. Is that truly how you feel? Yes. I'll kill Mama. No, that isn't Mama. It's the bad witch possessing her. I'll kill that witch. Very well. I shall give you that power. For tearing you and your beautiful heart apart, for giving you that pain, it is fitting that your heartless mother be torn apart considerably. I shall teach it to you. I shall teach you of the abyss in the world of witches, of the depth where no light reaches. I hate everyone. I hate Mama too, Angie too. I hate everyone. Oh, Maria. What's that? Back to the year of 1998. I had planned on taking a nap, but the boat really was shaking bad. I gave up on sleeping and went up onto the deck. There, I was welcomed by the shining sun and a strong sea breeze. Amakusa had been doing some stretches on the deck. He must have had a lot of time on his hands, too. After all, it'd be several more hours before we reached Nijima. We'd only have to take in a couple dozen minutes by airplane, but there was a chance that the Nijima airport was under the Sumidera family's web. The harbor would probably be the same. That part is so sad. For that reason, I had obtained the boat that would let me land while avoiding the harbor, no questions asked. I bumped into a cheery boat captain, plied him generously, and he had decided to help me out, amused. Still gonna be a while? I just asked the captain. Sounds like it'll take a full 2 hours more. Well, beggars can't be choosers. The weather sure is nice. Feels like I'll burn. Going to read on the deck? Interesting that Beatrice told her to believe that Sakutaro was by her side like Maria told Angie. Yeah. You'll damage your book. Amakusa apparently thought that because I was clutching Maria's diary under my arm. I had been reading it half asleep, which was why I'd come back up still clutching it. How's it going? Think you'll be able to find the truth of Rokonjima from her diary? Who knows? No matter how much I investigate what happened on that island, it won't make for anything more than a theory. There's no truth written in the message bottle or on Nechan's diary. Just a fairy tale with a witch walking around. I'm stuck. Looks like you've got nothing to look forward to except questioning those involved on Nijima. I imagine the witch hunters have showered them with questions over and over, so I'm pretty sure I won't find any new facts. So even though your hopes are that low, you're willing to spend half a day trip on a boat to go to Nijima anyways? Talk about fickle. It is like a journey of self-satisfaction, so that I can say, I investigated. I'm not so naive as to seriously think that the truth of 12 years ago will be revealed. And when you're done with your self-satisfaction trip, what do you do next? Who knows? I haven't thought about it. I'll go to Nijima, ask people who are involved. Then, after going to Rokonjima in the end and leaving some flowers, my journey will be over. Several days have already passed since this journey began. After being told by Baron Castell on the roof of that building to search for the truth of 12 years ago, I'd left on a journey like trying to grasp a cloud. And at the time, I felt as though I'd experienced something mystical, and had the feeling that I might be able to grasp some kind of miracle at the end of this journey. But after several days passed, my excitement died down. On that day, when I stood on the roof of that skyscraper, my heart was completely cornered and dead. So I'd wanted from the bottom of my heart to be released from the cage of my body and to rise into the sky, and had crossed the fence in order to die. Maybe experiencing the desire to die and actually stepping forward and throwing my body down caused some kind of mystical experience inside my head, making me think I had received a message from a witch. The excitement from my jump lessened over time, and the more I came back to my senses, the more this journey lost its meaning. But I didn't even consider suspending this journey just because of that. If I stop this journey, it'll mean acknowledging that the message from that witch was an illusion, and it felt as though it meant throwing away the promise the witch made, and any chance that someone from my family might come back. But because it was hard to believe that these events were an illusion, I've continued on my journey. I don't seriously believe that this journey will change anything. It's even up to me when to end this journey. It's up to me to choose where the final destination is. In the end, this journey is only for my self-satisfaction. Self-satisfaction, huh? Sounds bad when you say it, but I think that's actually what life is all about. Oh? If that's the answer you've reached out after hovering over the line between life and death in the mercenary business, that's probably pretty deep. Nah, don't take it so lightly. What I'm trying to say is that the only one who can acknowledge you in this world is you yourself. Amakusa continued stretching as he spoke, in an irritatingly fresh way. Hearing it told to me as though from a teacher made me instinctively want to resist. But what he was saying was extremely sensible. That may be true. People work hard when they want to be acknowledged by someone. In most cases, that someone is their parents. Children learn how to work hard because they want to be praised by their parents. Although, that's why I've never learned. Sorry, that's not exactly how I meant it. What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing wrong with self-satisfaction. No matter who praises you, it's meaningless unless you can accept it. Really true, you know what? I think about that a lot too. Turning it around, even if no one praises you, that doesn't matter as long as you can accept it. Self-satisfaction tends to contradict the desire to improve oneself, but we're usually taught that it's bad. Somehow, your argument seems like a pretty fresh take on it, Amakusa. The anguish of the human world continues when you want someone to acknowledge you, but you don't know what it is and you should be striving for. I had a time like that too. I wanted to be acknowledged by someone, but I didn't know what I wanted them to acknowledge about me. And since I didn't know what to strive for and how far I should go to be acknowledged, I did a lot of crazy things. And the answer you reached was self-satisfaction? Sounds bad, but that is how it is. Rich is the one who is content with what they are. Oh, I said that weird. Rich is the one who is content with what they are, they say. If I'm satisfied with my life, it doesn't matter what other people say. It's the same for your life, and for this journey. No one has any right to criticize you other than you yourself, Angie. You're the only one who determines the meaning and results of your journey. If it's been a meaningful journey for you, then that's more than enough. I always did take you as a flippant ladies man, but you really do say weird things every once in a while. I'll bet you think saying stuff like that will make you popular. Of course not. Of course not. That's not how I meant it at all. Looks like you want to be alone. I'll head over to see the boat captain. Please, take it easy. Makasa apparently decided I was in a bad mood, although I didn't feel that way myself. Or he might have finished the set of stretches and wanted to cool off in the shade. The sea winds were strong, but not enough to cool the rays of sun. Makasa disappeared. Only I remained. Self-satisfaction is life itself, huh? That's just boring. Life is nothing without greed. I noticed that Mamone had suddenly appeared, her abundant hair fluttering over by the prow of the ship. It's true that a life of greed would be fun, but unlike you, humans have a limited lifespan. If greed is eternal, that means a person will have desires even in the last moment before they die. Having desires means there's something that you want, something you don't have, some way that you aren't complete. I'm sure it's tough to die when you can't think of your life as being a full one, so I'm sure self-satisfaction is necessary. Oop. Drop some. Whatever, I'll find it later. Oh. See, because of the existence of a lifespan, you have to compromise like that. All of my masters have very long lifespans, so I'd never thought of that. I wonder if humans live for the purpose of becoming satisfied. If so, it's probably easiest to live without desires. I see. So that's why greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. Your praise honors me. Apparently that counted as a compliment in Mamone's eyes. She turned and gave a graceful bow. Angie, do humans live so they can find satisfaction at the moment of their deaths? Wouldn't it be pretty tough if you felt you were lacking something when you died? If so, then humans live only so that they can meet a satisfying death? They live so they can have a better death. They live so they can die? This kid's saying something pretty incredible. I see. As I'd expect from a demon stake. However, it might be the truth. Humans suffer because they aren't satisfied and live only to find satisfaction. In other words, that might be the same as the desire to die satisfied. I can't counter that. People live in order to be satisfied, and they hope to die that way. So it's really painful when you don't know how to find that satisfaction. Just how can you find something like that in a human's life? By being acknowledged. By hearing someone say, you are happy. If it doesn't matter who acknowledges them, then I'll do it. There's a lot of philosophical stuff? Yeah, welcome to visual novels. Yeah, that's the problem. People don't know who needs to acknowledge them. So, searching for this person who can acknowledge them is the journey of their life? Oh! Wait! Beatrice's whole point is to have Battler acknowledge her. Interesting. Well, a lot of parallels in that story. It sounds strange. Whether you're acknowledged or not, it supposedly doesn't change your circumstances. And yet, if you're acknowledged, you'll be satisfied. Well, if you aren't, then you won't. It's almost like the blue bird. Because you can't notice the blue bird even though it's already in the cage, you have to go on a journey searching everywhere. What? Human lives sure are stupid. True. That's right. Makasa said something really good. Rich is the one who is content with what they are, was it? I don't know where that proverb came from, but it's deep. Basically, if you can't find enough satisfaction unless someone else acknowledges you, that's the same as not acknowledging yourself. The ultimate in self-fulfillment is acknowledging yourself. That's right. Because if you can know what you're fully satisfied, there's no need to be acknowledged by anyone. Just by taking notice of the small things, the human's foolish journey of life can be ended easily. Oh. Emilaris, thank you for the follow. Hi, welcome to the Challengers. You can spend the rest of your life by playing and having a good time. A human's life is so ridiculous. Mamone's choice of words was bad, but it was surely the truth. If most of a human's life is a journey with the hopes that someone will acknowledge them so that they can achieve a satisfied death, then when they realize that person doing the acknowledging isn't someone else, but them themselves, the pointless journey can end. Humans who have ended that journey can probably spend the rest of their lives as they wish, with their heads held high. How noble, how praiseworthy that would be. You know, it seems Amakusa is on some pretty bad terms with his parents. I mean, that makes sense. Any decent parents would want him to get the hell out of the trade he's in. Does that really matter, though? As long as it's fun for the person in question. Exactly. That's what it comes down to in the end. Criticism formed by observations of other people doesn't matter. If your existence is firmly acknowledged by you yourself, that's enough. If you can live with confidence in yourself, you'll surely be able to accept and be satisfied with any kind of lifestyle. I'm sure Amakusa will eventually eat a stray bullet on the battlefield and get seriously injured. He might even die. But I don't think he'd view that as something unfair. I'm sure he'd cackle about how that's also a part of life. I want Virgil to acknowledge me. So true. What a great way to live. I could fall for that guy. Pitiful humans who can't acknowledge themselves, wander about searching for that their whole lives, and without anything being accepted, they do nothing but grumble and die while still unsatisfied. How pitiful. Compared to people whose lives drag on without any purpose, Amakusa is more likely to eventually die by the roadside, but I think he's much more noble for living his life with his head held high. Aren't the winners in life those who achieve enlightenment? If they can do that even a little sooner, they'll be able to live that much more of their life efficiently. With Mamon's words, I finally accepted a certain fact. In the past, I've called that girl unusual, a little strange. However, that wasn't true. All she did was keep her head held high and finish that journey faster than anyone else. True. Maybe that's what made Maria so amazing. When she was the age where she might or might not enter the first year of elementary school, she had already reached that point. For people like us, looking at her life from the outside, it wasn't something we'd call blessed. But even though days like that were engraved in her diary, they always finished up by saying that it was a happy day. Even though the part of her mother that didn't love her daughter came and went, she believed that her mother loved her. The mother's love that didn't exist, she created herself, filling her world with love. Others might observe her as an unsatisfied, pitiful girl, but she herself acknowledged that she was satisfied, and so she was happy that way. It's easy to observe that as something pitiable and sad, but to her, that was an outsider's opinion, so it didn't matter. Whether or not it was happy for her was the only important thing. Just like how, when people who live in the city point to the lifestyle of those in rural areas and mourn their inconvenience and feel sympathy for them, it's really none of their business. If those who live there are satisfied with what they have, that's more than enough. I finally noticed something. I noticed it just now. I did something horrible to Maria, and to you all, and Sakutaro as well on that day. Whether magic exists or not, that's not up to the other people to decide. It's up to you yourself. Oh. So true. Whether magic exists to Maria is a problem for Maria to decide, not me. And yet, when I was young on that day, I said it. I was saying there was no way magic exists. I heard her. The fact that magic doesn't exist in my eyes matters in my world. But denying it even in One-chan's world for that reason was totally misguided. Marie Sorcière is the Witches' Alliance Maria One-chan created. I was invited into it and told to become a witch with them. Thinking it a new, interesting game, I went along with that for a while. But because of the cruelty of youth, I got tired of it halfway through, and I tore her pure heart apart with sharp words. At that time, we must have gotten into a huge fight. I forgot about it right away, but she couldn't forget about it. After all, to her, magic was a natural power that just really existed, and she believed that she'd be able to share that with me. To Maria, magic is a power that can interpret the world as blessed. No, which can truly make everything blessed. She just wanted to share that with me too. The young me tore that feeling apart, so she closed herself up in a shell, assuming that she wouldn't be able to share her magic with anyone. If that's true, then Lady Maria's journey through life wasn't over after all. If she'd been able to accept herself, then there'd be no need to collapse just because you denied her, Angie. One-chan was young. She still hadn't reached a philosophical viewpoint like Amakusa. Yeah, Now I understand. That's why the Witches' Alliance called Mirage Sorcière was necessary. An alliance where each acknowledges that the other is a witch. That's right. I'm pretty sure that that was the first article in the agreement of Mirage Sorcière. Witches of the Alliance would acknowledge each other and respect each other. That's the deepest and only meaning of the Witches' Alliance. Maria wanted to share that with me. The secret laws to make the world happy, called magic. But I was young. And she was too. I hurt her with innocent cruelty. On that day, I said cruel things. To you all and to Sakataro. I said there was no way you exist. How rude. We acknowledge that we exist ourselves. We're not like humans, with their souls half asleep. I think, therefore I am. Whether you acknowledge or deny magic, the existence of the magic called the Seven Stakes of Purgatory is a fact. As long as we acknowledge ourselves, to borrow your words, it truly would be violent for another person like me to deny it. I'm sure that that'd be like having your true mother yell, "I wish you had never been born." No, disappear. Even after being slammed by all those words, Maria's magic made her believe in her mother's love. Sakataro, her magical friend, was always encouraged her. He kept saying that her mother loved her, that she was coming home late because of her work, and that she would definitely bring back a present. Even after Maria learned that her mother's work wasn't really the cause, magic allowed her to continue believing. And by believing that her mother loved her, by acknowledging herself, she filled her world with love and peace and serenity, establishing it completely. What happened 12 years ago? What happened to my family? This was never a journey to search for that. Well, then what kind of journey was it? It was a journey to apologize to Maria for what happened that day. I don't know why, but that's what I think. If I hadn't hurt her, that incident 12 years ago might not have occurred. That's what I think. I have no basis for it. I don't have a clue on how hurting One-chan could be connected with that mysterious incident several years later, but for some reason, I can't imagine that there's no connection. A witch caused that incident. The culprit is the Golden Witch, Beatrice, and Beatrice was part of the Mirage Sorcière Alliance of Witches. I horribly hurt the other witch of that alliance. I hurt her with the thought that magic doesn't exist. So several years later, a crime caused by a witch occurred, and a 2-day period that couldn't be explained with anything but magic was thrust in my face, thanks to the message bottle. There's no way I wasn't involved somehow. I don't get it. It could be coincidence, or it could be fate. For some reason, I've started thinking like that on this journey. And what's your basis for it? I have none. I just think it's true. The Japanese sure are interesting. Even when they're the victim, they feel as though they did something wrong and apologize for no reason. I could understand if you said, "I hate Beatrice for stealing my family," or something. But you really are weird, feeling guilty for no reason and apologizing. Of course I hate Beatrice. I couldn't continue this journey without that feeling. But it's okay to choose yet another purpose for this journey. There's nothing wrong with adding a goal of apologizing for past sins, in addition to getting revenge on a witch for what happened 12 years ago. I could at least go to Rokkenjima, apologize for my reckless remarks, and offer flowers. No. There's something better than flowers. Something that I think would be more fitting for One-chan. I stood up, not minding the sea breeze scattered in my hair, and concentrated my mind. I lifted my palm up to the height of my head and imagined a vast space. Enji! Be quiet. Come, arise. I am the witch apprentice, Angie Beatrice. I was excommunicated, but I was once a member of the same alliance, and you are a dearly missed furniture who played with me. Answer to my call. It was hard to tell in the middle of the day, but a faint blue light gathered around the palm of my hand. Then, Sakutaro's form was revived. Really did bring back memories, that figure. His cute ears, his bright red muffler. It came off easily, so One-chan faithfully rewrapped it all the time, didn't she? Sakutaro! There it is. Now it cleared. Maria's precious friend, very simple and warm, tends to say Uryu. Didn't Maria have a habit of saying this long ago? No, she had a habit of saying ooh. Do you recognize us? Do you know who we are? Uryu, Momon, Angie. With a sleepy face as though waking up from a long slumber, Sakutaro looked all around him as he spoke. It's been a long time, Sakutaro. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've summoned you with my own power. And now, I'm the only one who can summon you. Uryu. These words might have been a bit cruel. Sakutaro's face clouded over. In the past, I denied you. Now that I've summoned you, it means I've accepted your existence. Are you sure? Is this alright for me to be summoned into Angie's world? His eyes were a bit frightened. It was only natural. I, who had played with him like a friend before, had suddenly denied him and tried to burn him with the magic-resisting toxin. It was only natural that he was scared. I apologize for that day. Hold on 1 second. To you, to Momon, and to the rest of you. At some point, the rest of the seven sisters had gathered on the deck. No, they were always there, always by my side. As long as I acknowledge that it's okay for them to be there, they'll always appear. You certainly do exist, Lucifer, and Leviathan, Satan, Belphegor, Mammon, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, and Sakutaro too. Are you sure? You're one challenging Beatrice, Angie. Is it okay for us to be in a position of denying witches to acknowledge us? And as to whether magic exists or not in my world, sorry, but let me put that on hold. It's not like I myself acknowledge the existence of magic. But then, doesn't that contradict the fact that you're acknowledging us? It's because magic exists for people who believe. Even if I don't, if someone believes, then magic will exist in the human world. That fact won't change in the slightest whether I believe in magic or not. No, it mustn't change. That doesn't make any sense. That person just had to hold their head up high and believe in their own magic. I acknowledge that. So it wouldn't be strange at all for all of you to exist. Quite a play on words, but it's an interesting interpretation. What you're saying, Angie, is probably a devil's proof. A devil's proof? Right. To prove the existence of demons, you just need to find one. But it's impossible to deny the existence of demons. And we're here. That means that whether Angie believes in magic or not, our existence is unshakable. Are you? The magic-resistant toxin is disappearing from Angie. You're right. Even though you were in a position of denying magic. Why? That's probably because I learned what it means to respect and acknowledge. Right now, I might be able to understand the depths of Maria and Beatrice's magic. In the past, I didn't believe in things like magic. Thinking something like that couldn't exist, I acted like I was closing my eyes tightly and I couldn't see anything. But now, I'm different. I get the feeling that I can look right at the thing called magic and close in on its true nature. How frustrating. It is truly rare to find a human so free of the magic-resisting toxin in this day and age. And she has such an uncommon genius for being a witch. That's right. If Angie tried to become a witch right now, she could grow to be a great witch, maybe even at Beatrice's level. Even so, she has acknowledged our existence and is our master. Most likely, Angie will be our final master. Let us think of this as our final service, and apply ourselves to the fullest. Bleh. But I just can't stand that Angie still doesn't believe in magic herself. Angie, please believe in magic. It feels like a waste to finally have a master and have it not be a witch. Even though you have outstanding talent that can make you one of the greatest of witches, your goal is to attack witches. It's so frustrating. Well, even so, That's your life, the way you live. And in the world where you decided that, there's nothing we can do to complain. Thank you for understanding. Yeah, whether magic exists to me or not, that's up to me to decide. Regardless of whether magic actually does exist somewhere in the world or not, is another story. When I think about it, this world is so vast and yet so small. Billions of people live on the Earth. But I probably won't meet even 1% of those people. Even so, I will speak of a world. My world, which doesn't know even 1% of the world. I'm not qualified to deny the laws of a world I don't know. So just because magic doesn't exist in my world, I can't deny that magic exists in a world I don't know. Whether we believe in God or not, we can't deny God doesn't exist. Would that be a devil's proof, ironically? That makes it a true devil's proof. No, maybe it's more like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I can be confident in the world I know. So even if that's denied by a complete stranger who doesn't know a thing about my world, that's nothing to worry about. And in the same way, I've got no right to deny a world I don't know. Just because I don't know about it. Therefore, regardless of whether there's magic in my world or not, I can't deny the magic Maria taught me. Ooh. After all, even if you've never seen it, magic exists. Yeah. That's why, as I've already said, you, friends of the Witches' Alliance, Mariage Sorcière, can't be denied by me or anyone else. I proclaim that most important part again. Even though the sea breeze and the crashing of the waves were noisy, it was a time of silence. Both Sakataro and the Seven Sisters reflected upon my words. And probably I did too. Does magic exist? Do witches exist? While ignoring that the answer would be for my own world, I acknowledged their existence. That contradiction was what I'd proclaimed so boldly. Thank you, Angie. If you'll acknowledge that much, can't you acknowledge witches too? No, that was a foolish question. You already have a clear answer to that. Sorry. Though I do acknowledge that witches might exist somewhere in this world. But that doesn't shake my world. You won't acknowledge witches or magic. You'll definitely expose the truth of Rokenjima. Right? Yeah. That's my world. Even if a real witch exists, I won't acknowledge it in my world. No matter how much that witch tries to convince me. Your position is to attack witches, Angie. And I understand well that if you haven't the slightest wavering in that feeling. We are your furniture, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. We will always be by your side. We'll always be waiting for the day that we can be useful. Although, since you don't believe in magic, we can never be anything more than people to talk to. Although, that's enough for now. We've been left room to exist. For that alone, we should thank and acknowledge Angie. In short, all of us are all together again. Uryu! Sakataro! Let me squeeze you. When Sakataro was overcome with emotion and tears came to his eyes, the Seven Sisters closed in and mobbed him. They were also celebrating a long-missed reunion. If their existence is permitted, they're definitely capable of existing here. No, even if I don't permit it, they can exist. Because I acknowledge them, they showed their reunion's joy to me as well. As I watched over that scene, I reflected over what this journey of mine meant. I wonder if everyone will forgive me this way. You've done enough. We are furniture. Just being summoned. Just being allowed to be by your side makes us happy. Uryu! Angie, thank you very much. Come to think of it, why was I able to summon Sakataro? No, it's the other way around. Why wasn't One-chan able to do so? Maria had despaired, thinking that Sakataro had died, which meant that she hadn't been able to summon him like this anymore. In the past, One-chan said it was more advantageous in a summoning to have a vessel. However, a vessel is like training wheels, and it shouldn't be absolutely necessary. In other words, even if the stuffed animal lion that was Sakataro's vessel didn't exist, it should have been possible to summon him. No, when you put it like that, it's even a little doubtful whether summoning things can be limited by life and death. Moreover, Sakataro should have been an especially important friend to Maria. She should have been able to strive hard to summon him one more time. It certainly was sad that the original stuffed animal vessel had been torn apart, but why did he die and become impossible to summon again? That's because, at that time, Maria saw my stuffed animal torn and decided that I died. It's the same as the existence of magic. If Sakutaro has died in Lady Maria's world, then he can't exist in her world. The shock of having her beloved stuffed animal torn apart had left a wound in her heart serious enough to prevent her from summoning her irreplaceable close friend. In Maria's eyes, Sakutaro died. So even if Sakutaro can exist like this to me, he cannot exist before her. I was always with Maria. When Maria cried, I was always right beside her, telling her not to. But my form, my voice, nothing in me will reach Maria now. Sakutaro hung his head, looking sad. After that incident, the nature of Mirage Sorcier rapidly began to change. Before then, the alliance was a peaceful thing. But after that incident, it grew full of shadier things, focusing on how to curse people you hate. One-chan's diary began to show a clear change. A diary is a mirror that reflects one's heart as it is. It probably showed the personality called Maria die, and be reborn as the evil witch personality, Maria. When she buried that diary in hatred and sadness, her heart surely wasn't satisfied. Because it wasn't satisfied, she had to bury it with hatred and sadness. And while still unsatisfied, she met with death. I wonder if her unsatisfied soul has a hole opened in its chest from sadness, even now, and continually wanders, dripping tears down and calling Sakutaro's name. One-chan needs you. What can I do to revive you in Maria's world? If I can learn that method, I'll be able to save her. That's the method of atonement I've been given. What can be done to revive Sakutaro? To Maria, my vessel had a very important meaning. The vessel. In other words, if we could revive the lion stuffed animal. But Mama Rosa made my stuffed animal herself. Only she could make it. Even inside the diary, Maria had asked this of Beatrice and was refused for that reason. The magical significance of a stuffed animal being unique and handmade is very large. Then, even if we can make the same thing once more, but Aunt Rosa is already gone from this world. We can't make the same thing again. Was there ever another identical stuffed animal made, or anything like that? He's a stuffed animal made to be Lady Maria's birthday present, and is one of a kind in that world, a handmade and unique vessel. That's why it conceals great magical power, and if lost, it cannot be obtained again. It won't revive. Would you? Because she knew that, Maria One-chan watched that stuffed animal, which was unique in that world, get torn apart and disappeared. Because it was the only one of its kind in the world. She couldn't permit a compromise such as buying another one. She had despaired from the bottom of her heart. But Sakutaro is right here, even without a vessel. He's here, because I acknowledge that he certainly exists in my world. Even if Maria doesn't acknowledge him, that cannot be denied, right? Logically, that's true. But I think using the same logic to make Maria accept him could be difficult. Maria, I'm not dead. I'm right here. I'm sure that on Rokkenshima, I'll be able to be reunited with Maria. And no matter what, I'll revive you, the you that's inside One-chan, and let you be reunited. Can you do it? It'll probably be hard. Just like how, after being invited into the Witch's Alliance, I rejected it without understanding what it meant. She might also reject your existence. But I've got to do it. That's the only way I can atone for my sins. Enji. What's waiting on Rokkenshima? And what will happen? What will be created? Or maybe nothing will happen. That island, which was the beginning of everything, is the final destination of this journey. You are all the furniture of a witch, so as your master, I have to take you home to the Witch's Island, to Rokkenshima. Even though the rays of sun had been so strong, at some point clouds had started to hang down. The spray that hit my cheek might not have come from crashing waves. Enji, looks like we're gonna get a bit of a shower. Maybe you'd better get below deck. Amakasa called out to me with an expression that said, "Oh, you're still here?" When I looked up, I saw that the island silhouette had gotten much larger. We might have reached land very soon. I remember that the weather report had mentioned scattered rains. The sky wasn't dark enough for rain clouds. It'll probably just be for a short time. Even though the rain was light enough to not be a pain, having rain start to fall as we approached the island felt like some kind of fate. It was raining on October 4th, 1986 as well. I'm approaching the Rokkenjima of that day, and not just in distance. I went back down with Amakusa. He was carrying what looked like a really large and heavy golf bag. It was something that Amakusa had brought back with him on the day that we'd split up. I didn't inquire as to its contents, but it was hard to imagine they were anything peaceful. I won't go as far as to ask what's inside, but it does look heavy. Why are these things so darn heavy all the time? A French instructor taught me something interesting about that once. He said they should always be heavy. After all, a human life is heavier than the world. So these should be even heavier. Be nice if you didn't need to use them. That would be nice. Amakusa, you set the golf bag like luggage down beside him. I guess that's his like guns and stuff. A two-propeller aircraft touched down on the runway. Considering the weather, it couldn't have been a pleasant flight. Everything after this flight had been suspended due to weather. Cutting through the drizzle as she traversed the runway, Sumidera Kasumi entered the lobby with 2 black suits as guards. The 4 black suits who had been waiting inside the lobby stood up and respectfully lowered their heads to salute. Kasumi. Propeller planes certainly do shake. I wouldn't want to ride on one again. We have a car prepared. Please, this way. They got into 2 luxury cars that had been rented. Angie should be heading for Rokkenjima, a deserted island. How convenient. You've arranged for some tools, I take it? Yes, ma'am. The black suit in the passenger seat put up a heavy bag that had been set by feet on his lap, opened the catch with a click, and showed Kasumi what was inside. Inside were several silver lumps of carefully wrapped aluminum foil. He peeled one open to show her. A black, blunt, automatic pistol peeked its face out. Guns. Omunka? Okay, we'll do one more chapter tonight. Oh, we're back in 1986. We'll do one more chapter tonight. It was already approaching 10 at night. By now, the typhoon had wrapped itself around Rokkenjima. Even the rose garden that had looked so beautiful midday was beaten down upon by the fierce winds and resisted with all its might, undulating and trying to keep the flowers from blowing away. In that rose garden was Shannon in the lead, Battler holding up an umbrella, Jessica and George carrying the sleeping Marie on his back, all headed for the guest house. We can at least make it to the guest house from here. Shannon, it's fine. You should go back and rest. Don't worry. Seeing you off is part of my duty. The family conference is going on inside, and Mom and Genji are probably getting stressed. If we keep you, they'll misunderstand and think you were being lazy. That's right. Just graciously accepting our offer might be the best way to avoid burdening people. Thank you, Shannon. Not at all. Certainly, as Milady has said, it is very tense inside the mansion today. Therefore, coming with all of you allowed me to breathe fresh air, a breath of fresh air, and I've been able to relax a bit. Family conference, huh? They went through all the trouble of chasing us kids out, so they're probably talking about something shady. Probably. But I'm sure there's nothing we can do to help out. Just trying to stay out of their way is probably the best way for us to be useful. I'm pretty sure they're all just money, money, money. Even though they act like they're so rich most of the time, when it gets tough, they all start getting pushy. Why don't they just be graceful and split it evenly between everyone? That'd be awesome. It'd be nice if I got a share too. If I get some too, I'd split it with Shannon right away. Oh, thank you very much. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. Shannon isn't greedy at all. Normally, girls of your age would have tons of things they'd want to buy. I guess. But none of the things I want can be bought with money. Oh, how unselfish. If you lined up all the things I wanted, all the gold in the world wouldn't be enough. That's if you're talking about things that can be bought with money. I wonder what these things that can't be bought with money that Shannon wants are. Do you have any idea, George? Well, I wonder. I'm not Shannon, so how could I know? Oh, I don't know either. George and Shannon looked down, their faces red. Battler had also heard about what was going on with them, so they knew what Jessica was teasing them about. George is a person I respect. I think you've met up with a really great person, Shannon. Yeah. I also feel relieved that we can leave Shannon to George. Stop teasing. It's a serious issue for us. More importantly, what about you, Jessica? Have you been able to get a little closer to Cannon? Huh? You and Cannon are like that? Well, that's dirty, George, twisting the conversation around like that. They had an animated discussion with ups and downs. The four kids headed for the guest house. The annual family conference was extremely important to the Ushiromiya family, and this year seemed like it was going to be especially important. Apparently, the family head, Kinzo, was personally going to be making a very serious announcement, and everyone other than the adults had been strictly ordered to leave. Battler hadn't attended the family conference in 6 years, so he didn't really notice. But according to Jessica, there seemed to be a very tense atmosphere tonight, completely different from a normal year. Common sense made it clear that Kinzo, whose remaining life was short, was going to make some big announcement about the succession of the headship and the distribution of his fortune. But I'm surprised to think that Grandfather's actually going to make an appearance. I see. So this is the witch's counterattack. Oh, yeah. I wanted to leave the Joker called Kinzo face down a little longer, but it's probably about time to turn it over. Trump cards exist to be used. That's true. I always say I don't put cards in my deck not to draw them. Damn. My theory that Grandfather was dead since the beginning, and a different 18th person had snuck in, is now suddenly torn apart. I had foreseen that you'd begin to doubt Kinzo eventually. Yes. Now your reasoning has all gone back to square one again, right? With this, your theory that Kinzo was dead at the very beginning and I was hiding as the 18th person goes poof. Fuck. Oh, fuck. But there's no way I'll lose heart. There's only one that's only one theory gone. I'll attack you like a storm, like a tornado. I'd have it no other way. Even the first twilight has not yet begun. It's far too early to give up. That's right. And it's not like it was denied with the red truth. At this point in time, Battler's theory hasn't been defeated. It's too early to say that you've won. Yeah, that's right. It's still too early for me to just swallow her story. Grandfather is supposed to finally appear, but there's a chance that they'll talk about how his health has gotten worse, and he won't appear after all. Uncle Kraus might be trying desperately to hide the fact that Grandfather is really dead until the last second. Ha! I see you could also think of it that way. Do as you please. It will be resolved soon. Very soon. All the relatives and Nanjo could be seen in the dining hall. Nanjo sat alone, quietly watching the wind and rain outside. Kraus sat down in the seat of his own rank, with Natsuki standing emotionlessly at his side. The other siblings were gathered at the opposite ends of the large table, whispering to each other. Is that true? Yeah. Maria said the person who gave her the umbrella. Whoa! That's different. Maria said the person who gave her the umbrella was father. What? In other words, our strategy has collapsed from the roots. Not just our strategy. Since father is healthy and has said that he'll make an announcement himself, our trivial bargaining with Nissan was completely pointless. Yeah. That old bastard. Why couldn't he just have shown himself right away without making a show of it? Thanks to that, we've just been quarreling with Aniki uselessly. Or maybe he wanted to test us on that point. I might not be the one to talk, since we aren't related by blood, but your father is very intelligent, correct? Our arguments during the day were probably overheard by one of the servants and reported to father. Incredible. The fact that we were making a fuss with father's inheritance as our goal now is right out in the open. Just incredible. Ava uncharacteristically held her head, dejected. If, as Kiri had said, everything had been going according to Kinzo's plans from the beginning. And if this was a huge setup that had been kept for over a year trying to find the siblings' true intentions, then they had fallen for it completely. We still don't know for sure that it's reached father's ears. No, it has. Everyone but Nissan claimed that father was dead, and none of us believed in father's good health. It's over. Father will make an announcement. Nissan will become the successor, and he'll say we aren't even qualified to wear the one wing. Ugh. Hey, son, get a hold of yourself. Rosa, I wonder if Maria really received that umbrella from father. Huh? What do you mean? Maria might have seen father. However, we haven't seen him. Maria only claims to have seen him. So, what are you saying? Are you saying Maria's lying? Calm down, Rosa. Maria didn't necessarily lie. Still, she's an innocent kid, right? For example, if Genji came up to her and said something like, I was told by your grandfather to hand this to you, then even if Maria hadn't met Dad, she still might say that she got an umbrella from him, right? Yeah, that's right. That trick could work. But what was it Maria said? Grandfather came and handed me the umbrella. Yeah, that is what she said. She clearly said that she received an umbrella directly from grandfather. Directly, huh? Then we're stuck. They often say that bad thinking is no better than sleeping. If you think about it a bit, all this about an umbrella is a trivial problem. Why? Couldn't Maria have been bribed by Nissan to lie and say something that made it seem like father was in good health? There's no evidence that father actually handed the umbrella to her. Regardless of whom Maria received the umbrella from, assuming she's even given an umbrella in the first place, father will appear very soon. Once father is in front of us, the problem with the umbrella will become completely trivial. In other words, this is not the time to gossip about the umbrella issue. What do you mean this isn't the time? I see. This is probably what Kiri's saying. Father is supposed to come here very soon, but the chance still remains that he'll get mad and won't show up, right? Yeah, that's true. Maybe Nissan said father was going to appear at random in a desperate bid to buy time against our investigation. Father really is dead already, and Nissan's still lying and said he's healthy. In short, if father appears, then no schemes will be effective. There's no need to even think about that case. We're fish to the chopping board. We'd have no choice but to leave fate to the heavens and negotiate directly with father. That means we'd have no choice but to let him clobber us with his fist, then prostrate ourselves and beg for money. But on the other hand, if father doesn't appear, then our primary strategy isn't hampered in the least. Ah, yes. In short, no matter which way it goes, there's no need to get flustered now. That's it. If father shows up, we just have to carry out that normal family conference. If he doesn't, we just have to keep on investigating Kraus. We can't let him talk his way out of this. If, like he says, if he says father's mood suddenly has gotten worse, seems that we really should be trying to figure out is what scheme Nissan is going to try to trick us with. The way he doesn't know how to give up is something I know better than anyone. Father is well. If father is well, we'll prostrate ourselves and beg for money. If it's a farce of Kraus's, then we'll continue our ugly sibling fight. Sounds like this year's family conference is going to be just wonderful. Yep. So, bad thing he's no better than sleeping, huh? It's almost 10 o'clock. Should we press Anarchy? Rudolph and the rest looked at Kraus. He was sitting down firmly. He looked like he was awaiting Kinzo's arrival with an air of composure. They couldn't tell if he really was composed, or if it was scheming about how to tie together his lie. Here. Calm down. We won't get anywhere by making a fuss about all this. Let's leave it to Genji. It's almost 10, isn't it? That was the time that had been set for tonight's family conference to open. It was that time that the Ushiromiya family head needed to appear. Right then, they heard the sound of footsteps approaching from the hall. There were multiple sets. Natsu raised her head, relieved. But because of the sound of a knock, her expression was filled with disappointment, because Kinzo would not have knocked. Please excuse us. I have finished closing up the mansion for the night. It was Goda and Kumasawa. Unlike the powerful Goda, it was rare for Kumasawa, with her old body, to be forced to work this late. Of course, Kraus had also seemed to know that. Indeed. Good work. My apologies for making you work at such a time, Kumasawa. Oh, it's nothing. I may not look it, but staying up late is still one of my specialties. Wouldn't it be okay to at least let Kumasawa leave without being an observer? It really will be difficult on her body, I imagine. The order was to gather all of the servants as well. I cannot disobey. Tonight's family conference was clearly different from normal. On a normal year, no one was allowed to attend except family members. To have the servants present for such a thing was unthinkable. But this year was different. All of the servants were told to attend. Of course, they were not allowed to talk. They were there as observers. Just what in the world had happened that needed to be observed by 5 servants? Even Kraus didn't know. I don't look it, but I'm good at staying up late. If you stuff yourself with mackerel too, Kraus, you'll be more manly at night. Heh. I see you're still in high spirits. I'm sure you'll be working in such high spirits until you're 100. Madam, forgive my arrogance, but I have prepared a light snack. I can serve it at any time, so feel free to order it. Thank you. You really are considerate. Please, offer a refill of coffee to the others. Certainly. After nodding, Goda took the pot towards the relatives gathered at the other end of the table. As he did, more footsteps approached from the hallway. It was a single set, and it was light. Even before the knock, they could imagine who it was. Excuse me. I've taken the children to the guest house. Good work. Tonight is a special evening. Make sure you stay alert. Yes, certainly, madam. Genji had gone with Canon to meet Kinzo. There was still no sign of their return. Goldsmith? The hand of the clock passed 10 o'clock slightly. Once sure of that, Ava spoke to Kraus. Nissan, it's time. Are you still not going to start the family conference? The arrival of the guest of honor has been delayed. Wait a short while. How long? Sorry, but time's up. I won't have you saying Father hasn't quite shown up yet over and over until dawn. How can I make a promise about the time Father shows up? Why are you in such a rush? Why not drink some tea and calm down for now? Aniki, we're gathered here for a family conference, not a farce. We'll wait 30 more minutes. But if that doesn't work, you'll let us break into the study, okay? Break into? Such an action would be quite lacking in respect for the head. Oh, right. Our apologies. We'll be good for 30 more minutes. Heh. I look forward to seeing if you can keep that same smile up 30 minutes from now. Do you honestly believe that Father is dead? I have no desire to discuss that now. We can wait until Father comes here. There's absolutely no need for me to argue you down, Nissan. You assure me a family headship will be passed on to the proper person in the proper manner. No matter what you may scheme, you cannot resist. Of course, the same goes for me. What are you trying to say? And after bragging all these years about being successor yourself, I'll turn your own words back on you. I have no desire to discuss that now. All that matters is for Father to come down here and proclaim it with his own mouth. There's absolutely no need for me to argue you down, right? Kraus casually turned Ava's words back on her. Of course, that added oil to Ava's anger, but it didn't ignite, because in that instant, the sound of a very loud knock rang out. Who's knocking? Both Genji and Kanon were usually very reserved when they knocked. They wouldn't hit that door with such a violent strength. It was like a judge's gavel slamming down in a call for silence. So everyone went quiet. The door opened slightly and Genji showed himself. Then he spoke with a serious tone different from his usual one. That wasn't just the tone he used when carrying out his duties. It was the tone he used when speaking for Kinzo himself. Just by hearing Genji speak like that, the siblings were struck with a sudden tension. Take your seats, everyone. At those words, the dining hall was wrapped in total silence, and everyone hurriedly returned to their designated seats. It was just as though students who had been bustling around just before homeroom had suddenly returned to their seats when the teacher came, and it might even have looked humorous. But there was no way anyone would joke about it. Everyone sat in order, and Shannon, Goda, and Kumasawa stood up straight in a row by the wall. The head of the glorious Ushiromiya family and Lord of Rokonjima, the island that sparkles gold, Lord Ushiromiya Kinzo, has arrived. Whoa. When the double doors that led to the dining hall, Genji opened the right doors from the inside, and Kanon opened the left door from the outside. Oh, he's here. And, welcomed by a respectful bow from those two, majestically fluttering his cape, Kinzo appeared. Kinzo's gait had a dignified weight to it, and it was hard to believe that he had reportedly been at the end of his life. Genji pulled back... Yeah, it's so good. Genji pulled back Kinzo's seat and motioned for him to sit. But Kinzo stayed standing, signaling his chin for Genji to move back. All caps. Oh no. Oh, he's turned up. He's smithing. Welcome to Rokkenjima, ladies and gentlemen. Why the frightened face, Ava? No, why would I be frightened? I'm just relieved to find you in excellent spirits, Father. Ava, you're as amusing as ever, aren't you? Why don't you just honestly say how frustrated you are losing your bet with Kraus? You can say it, can't you? Ava realized that their conversations during the day had indeed been relayed to Kinzo, and she hung her head, turning red. Well then, my sons and daughters and their companions, tonight I shall make an important announcement regarding my inheritance and the succession that you all seem so keen on. But first, I must tell you how incredibly disappointed I am. After all, until this very day, no one has been able to solve the riddle of the epitaph. Even though Kinzo said he was disappointed, a condescending smile rose to his face, as though there was no way the likes of these could have solved it, and his gaze passed through all of them. I had planned to hand over everything to the one who could solve it, but none have been able to solve it before today, and here we stand with nothing of mine passed down to anyone. How shameful. To think that none among you could come forward with the qualifications to succeed me. How truly disappointing and shameful, and pathetic. The siblings hung their head in silence. Of course, they would have solved it if they could. True, they couldn't deny that they'd wasted a golden opportunity, but it was just so hard. Therefore, I am proclaiming here and now that I will suspend the use of the epitaph's riddle. Oh! I am proclaiming here and now that I will suspend the use of the epitaph's riddle as a method of choosing my successor. In short, time's up. The game is over. And what a shame for you all. Even though it should have given you all an equal and fair chance, that's gone now. It truly sounded like Kinzo was making a victory proclamation. In that case, will my oldest succeed the headship? The answer is no. Huh? You understand, right, Kraus? I certainly gave you the title of successor, but all you did was let it go to your head. You know what a successor is? It means the person who will inherit your position, Father. Wrong. The position of successor isn't something that's guaranteed by the current head at all. Listen up, Kraus. I won't tell you this again. A successor is what you call someone who finds everyone else who's after the headship, thoroughly breaks their noses, and makes it so they can never disobey him again. This is not something that can be said of the headship. It's the same with money. A rich person doesn't mean someone who has money. It means someone who crushes everyone who had more money than himself. Whoa, that's bold. And who scrabbles together more money than anyone else. It's the same with talent. A genius is not what you call a person blessed with talent. It means a person who crushes everyone with more talent than them. A person who can coerce geniuses and all other people to call them that using strength and charisma. You have a mistaken impression when it comes to all these things. So you aren't of the right caliber to be my successor. Interesting. Kinzo believes in this, like, iron rule kind of thing. You know, just like, you don't earn it. You make sure nobody else has it. Which, with his fortune, would mean, essentially, he's asking the siblings to kill each other. I'll take your words to heart. Perhaps that truly was Kinzo's philosophy. Might makes right? Yeah, very much. As a result of faithfully carrying out the rant-like philosophy of his, Kinzo had glorified the Ushirimiya family to the state it was in today. It may be hard to imagine after his immersion in the occult in recent years, but that brutally overbearing outlook was no more or less than Ushirimiya Kinzo's charisma and aura. Such an unsatisfactory person is not qualified to inherit everything of the Ushirimiya family. In that case, it's Ava, Rudolph, and Rosa qualified? No. You were unable to solve the riddle, and you were also unable to use a scheme to drag Kraus down. All three of you managed to do was gather together in a united front to try to extort money from him. And even that scheme was thoughtless. You can't even corner Kraus all by himself. There could be nothing more shameful. You lack the avarice to steal away the position of successor by any means. In order to get what you want, you should sacrifice everything, becoming as covetous and greedy as possible. The goddess of luck smiles upon the greedy. You three, who don't have that wild spirit, are as unfit for succession as Kraus is. Ava and the rest had no words to respond with, and they couldn't calculate what it was Kinzo was about to say. Was Kinzo actually planning to proclaim that no one would succeed the headship? If so, that would work to Maria, Rudolph, and Rosa's advantage. Or Ava, Rosa, and Rudolph's advantage, excuse me. After all, in the end, they just have to renegotiate everything among the siblings after Kinzo's death, splitting the inheritance evenly. It would surely be more troublesome if a specific person's name was raised and proclaimed to be the successor. But would Kinzo really say something to benefit any of the four siblings after demeaning them so much? You don't think he's going to say that because no one will succeed him, he'll donate all of his fortune to charity or something, right? I'm afraid I wouldn't put it past him. The blood's just risen to his head. We can't do anything but let him talk for now. Well then, Father, what thoughts do you have regarding the succession of the headship? Since I am so utterly disappointed in all of you, I've lost the desire to hand it over to anyone. Therefore, the Ushirimiya family will end here. It ends with my generation. That can't... The Ushirimiya family was cursed long ago in that earthquake. The current Ushirimiya family is nothing but an illusion of gold I'm glimpsing for an instant. Oh! He's saying nobody succeeds me, everyone dies this weekend. He's just saying, yeah, we're all gonna die this weekend. Because no one is worthy of succeeding me. The current Ushirimiya family is nothing but an illusion of gold I'm glimpsing for an instant. The likes of which will end when I awaken from my slumber. Everything in this world is a dream, an illusion. Life is but a daydream before the awakening called death. Ah, yes. That's how it was from the beginning. That I should lose everything when I die was part of Beatrice's contract, and her curse. As if I'd let you, Beatrice. I will be the one who captures you. Tonight, that goal will be realized. For a while, Kinzo was overcome with cackling and his eyes bulged. Whenever he talked about Beatrice, it was always both eloquent and insane. Foolish children such as yourself truly are daydreams. It's as though you were never there from the beginning. Disappear. Wake up. Disappear from the doze of truth that I am. You failures that have not built up anything that makes you worthy to succeed me. Kinzo, if I may. What is it? My friend. Nanjo nervously raised his hand, asking to speak. Kinzo allowed him to. I understand how you feel, Kinzo. Because you love your children, you expect a lot of them. And as a parent and grandparent myself, I understand how parental affection can make you feel as though your expectations were betrayed. However, you are extraordinary, Kinzo. A genius. Isn't saying that it's only natural for them to catch up to you is a little too harsh? Despite that, Kraus, Ava, Rudolph, Rosa, and all of their partners have done their very best to catch up with you. Oh? And just how much money have they built up this doing their best? After those cowards fail completely in ventures and gain debt, still trying to sponge off me, how can you say that they did their very best? Money is the crystallization of everything in this world. If you cannot grasp that, then you cannot grasp the world. If a life cannot strongly grasp this world, it doesn't deserve to live. Disappear. Disappear from my life and reality. That's a reckless argument. With that logic, even I must not live. Even so, I believe the time I spent playing chess with you was worthwhile for both of us, Kinzo. You should know better than anyone else that there are many things in this world that cannot be bought with money. As the siblings motionlessly hung their heads, they cheered Nanjo on inside their hearts. None of the siblings could offer their opinion in front of Kinzo in a rage, but Kinzo's close friend Nanjo alone was allowed to. Even though Kinzo had raged so fiercely, after being admonished by Nanjo, he nodded several times as though in agreement. This surprisingly obedient side of him might have seemed cute, but there was none here who could laugh. It may be true that your children haven't built up a great fortune as you have, Kinzo, though even so, they're rich enough to make me jealous. But besides money, they haven't built up many things that cannot be bought with money. When it comes to that, they're in no way inferior to you, Kinzo-san. Oh. And what do you claim they have built up that cannot be bought with money? Happiness. Family. They have found wonderful partners, they've had children, and each has built up their own happy house. They have glorified your family name and have brought you grandchildren. Grandchildren are wonderful. We older people can look at these young grandchildren who will live on into the new era that we will not even be given a chance to see, and in them we can imagine an endless future. Isn't that the sole entertainment we have in our old age? Remember, Kinzo. Remember your joy when they first brought back your grandchildren? Your children and your grandchildren will carry your great works into the future generation, setting an example. This is something that an individual cannot accomplish no matter how much money they have. The siblings all nodded in agreement. Certainly, Kinzo had looked happy when his grandchildren had just been born. Excuse me. Back when he still had some sanity in his heart. However, did Kinzo's heart still contain a human's warmth? In other words, in exchange for the vast riches I created, instead of gaining money, I have gained grandchildren? No, that's not what I was... So, in exchange for the several tens of billions in wealth that I have built up, I have gained a single grandchild from each of my children. This is wonderful. So I've created a single life using 10 billion yen. That's how it is. Interesting. Truly an interesting example in that alchemical sense, right? Oh. What valuable grandchildren. Wonderful, wonderful. Isn't that right, Kraus? Is your daughter worth 10 billion yen? Kraus couldn't answer instantly. It wasn't that he didn't have confidence in his daughter. It was because he didn't have a clue what Kinzo was trying to test him with this question. But when Natsuhi was then pressed for an answer, she responded, breaking Kraus's silence with an answer of her own interpretation. Yes, Jessica's a daughter I wouldn't let go of, even for 10 billion yen. In that sense, I believe she has a value that can't be measured with money. Oh, so you can state for certain that she's worth 10 billion? What about you, Ava? What about your George? Since Natsuhi had answered that way, Ava naturally came up with her own answer as well. Even though Ava should have known better than to respond with a provocative question like this, she answered as well. Yeah, father. George is worth 10 billion. No, even more than that. And that's not the abstract sense of things money can't buy. George will certainly build up a fortune equal to his worth. He'll become a grandson worthy of carrying on your great works, father. Ava sent a glance at Hideyoshi and Natsuhi as she scored a point. When she heard what Ava had said, Natsuhi was about to add more praise for her daughter, but stopped at a glare from Kraus. I see. Then what about you, Rudolph? What about your Battler? Compared to George, there's nothing about Battler I can brag about. If he was kidnapped and we were threatened with a ransom of 10 billion, I'd feel like sticking a bow to the guy and letting them have him. Or taking a bow. On top of that, he's an idiot and reckless. He talks about grand dreams and things that couldn't be done. I guess in that way, he's a super idiot worth the equivalent of 10 billion normal idiots. But I'm sure that guy could do things that even a group of 10 billion average people couldn't do. Well, I'm pretty sure he'll fall flat on his face. The world isn't easy. But at the very least, there's no doubt that watching over his life will be more fun than looking at 10 billion average people. That is a curiously affectionate way to describe your kid. Ava clicked her tongue at that clever style of speech, which would probably match Kinzo's tastes. Apparently, Rudolph had done that on purpose, so he grinned back at her. What of Maria? Maria is my adorable and only daughter. Her value cannot be measured with money. That is all. Get her ass. Yeah. She would sell Maria for 1 million yen. I see. Dreams in the future, miracles and possibilities are the source of my magical power. No magic without hope holds any strength. I cannot expect any more from you who have proven to be average. But I see. My grandchildren hold future possibilities, and expecting a magical miracle from them may be worthwhile. If you're saying that, in this way, they are worth more than 10 billion. Yes, I can see where you're coming from. When Kinzo got in a rage, he wouldn't let anyone speak up. But even so, he would sometimes accept something on his own while yelling by himself, and change his own opinion. That's what this felt like to the siblings. Apparently, even though Kinzo had been disgusted by his unsuccessful children and had cast them away as being unfit for the inheritance of his title or fortune, he wasn't sure about his grandchildren. At this rate, he might soon say that the inheritance would go to his grandchildren instead of the siblings. As the siblings sat in fear of what their fickle and short-tempered father might suddenly think of next, They carefully watched his every move. She would sell Maria for a nickel? Yes, she would. Let me change my thinking a little. I have absolutely no desire to hand over all I have to any of you. However, it will be quite interesting to question the grandchildren to see if any of them is qualified. I've always thought of them as mere kids, but there's a chance I'll find a shining gem among them that will catch me off guard. And testing them for that would be, yes, it would be a shame to abandon that final side trip in my remaining life. Well then, what shall I do? I can, with confidence, recommend George as someone fitting to follow after you. So pathetic, Ava. Ava claimed the right away. Natsuki looked like she was about to follow along, but Kraus gave her a look telling her to restrain herself, so she swallowed her words. How bold. Then let us do this. I will individually question the grandchildren to see if they are qualified to succeed the Ushiromiya family inheritance and wealth. Father, however, that does not mean that one of you will indirectly receive the inheritance. I am already disappointed in you all. There is no longer anything I have to give you. Nothing. The ones I will question are my grandchildren, and the ones who might succeed me are my grandchildren. Make absolutely sure that you do not mistake this. Understood? I shall obey your decision. Same here. I'll go along with what he decides. What about you, Aniki? Of course. I believe Father will make a wise judgment. I will also obey Father's decision. I shall think of how to test my grandchildren, which means this is no longer any business of yours. After all, none of you are involved with the succession in any way now. So, right here, right now, perhaps we should discuss a different matter that does not involve you. Different matter? Oh, is this going to be the first Twilight? That is tonight's true purpose, and the true purpose for this final Ushiromiya family conference as well. I have no desire to hear your thoughts and opinions. I demand only your assistance. Assistant? Oh, it is. Assistance in my ceremony. Your ceremony? Quiet. Father's talking. Rudolph and the rest had automatically narrowed their brows in an occult-like word. Could he be planning to start some strange ceremony involving Beatrice's resurrection again? And he wanted their assistance? What in the world was he planning to do? In the past, he had carried out many eccentricities that he called by the same name, such as starting to burn a strange incense and filling the whole mansion with the stench. For the siblings, a ceremony was nothing more than one of the aged Kinzo's obnoxious hobbies. Father, just what do you mean by that? If we can assist you, we'll do anything. Oh, don't say anything. Yeah, but what in the world is it? A ceremony as inscribed in my epitaph, a ceremony to revive Beatrice and open the door to the golden lands. That witch who escaped her cage of flesh and steeringly slipped through my fingers, I shall now capture, and force into submission with my greatest hidden art. For that purpose, I must offer 13 people as sacrifices. Gathering 13 people's worth of sacrifices is no easy feat, but tonight is the family conference. Many adults have gathered on Rokkenjima. There could be no other day with which to carry out this ceremony. Taken literally, it sounded like he was telling them to become human sacrifices for his ceremony and die. Ridiculous. Was it some kind of metaphor? What did they even have a clue what he was going to try to illustrate? But they didn't even have a clue of what he was trying to illustrate. The siblings whispered together about what Kinzo was saying. What is Dad going on about? Is this his usual sickness? Probably. Listen silently for now. I'm sorry, Father. I don't understand what you mean by that. What is it you don't understand? I'm making this extremely simple. I told you I'll choose 13 of the humans on this island and offer them as sacrifices in a ceremony to revive Beatrice. Even worthless people like you can be very useful as sacrifices in my ceremony. Listen, this is not a joke or anything of the sort. This is my final bet, my final ceremony, the last one I will desire in my life. There are now more than 13 humans on this island. In short, that's a head count that can easily satisfy the massive number of sacrifices I require. Become my sacrifices for my ceremony. Kinzo, you weren't serious about that, were you? It wasn't a joke? Unusually for him, Nanjo's face changed color as he stood up and shouted. It seemed this wasn't the first time Nanjo had heard all the dark talk about 13 sacrifices. Sorry, my friend. This was no joke, nor anything of the sort. It is what I bet my life on. The final ceremony. The final game that I will attempt. Yes, this is a game. If gaining my fortune and leaving the island is your goal, then there are only two ways to achieve it. Will you escape being chosen as one of the 13 sacrifices and spectacularly survive by finally solving the riddle of the epitaph and stopping the ceremony? Or will you kill me and thereby stop the ceremony? Those are your only two options. By now, everyone wasn't just whispering, but chattering about it in a muttering way. Even the siblings had noticed that Kinzo was beginning to act abnormally. Father, are you a little tired? Genji, has father been drinking? No. The master is sensible. Sorry, Dad. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Dad's free to start up any weird ceremony he wants to revive the witch he loves. That's his hobby. But getting wrapped up in that and being made into a human sacrifice is a little more than I can handle. Rudolph, are you trying to interrupt father? What are you on about? Do you expect me to listen to something as shady as that and say, oh, really? Was the ceremony Kinzo had mentioned literally something disturbing? Or was it some kind of test to choose the successor? It seemed that Rudolph had taken it literally, but Ava apparently still believed it was something like a test or examination to find a proper successor. But Kinzo responded with a clear smile. Well then, that is all I have to say. No objections or opinions are necessary. I will simply awaken from my dream of having 4 unsuccessful children. To all of you, what will occur now before your very eyes may seem like a dream, an illusion, something that couldn't conceivably be of this world, and a world that defies understanding. But that itself is my reality. Now I will finally awaken from the shallow, useless dream that all of you are. Come, the game has already begun, see? With this many of you here, I can take lives starting with anyone. So long, my unsuccessful children, and for the final and only time in your lives, be useful for my ceremony. Arise. To the ghost of Pendragon? Pendragon's memorial troops. When Kinzo raised his arms high like an opera singer and yelled as though towards a packed audience, the air shattered like glass, and the outlines of 3 people who supposedly hadn't been invited to the island appeared. Ah! Oh, there's another one. Chester 00. The 3 girls with strange forms suddenly appeared behind Kinzo. Where from? When? Who? Who were they? Wait. I think it's lagging. A weapon of the Sisters Cavalry who serves Pendragon. 00 is their calm and composed leader. However, this is merely a role demanded of her, since she's far more frail by nature. 00 excels at reconnaissance and serving as an advanced guard, displaying extreme supremacy in unexpected encounters. However, her excessively powerful fighting strength has been called inhumane, and it isn't rare for her to be lynched and abused when she surrenders on the battlefield. Her one eye silently speaks to that. Where from? When? Who? Who were they? The humans were thrown off balance and their minds went blank. Because they spent all that time thinking, they lost their last chance to survive. You have permission to shoot 6 to death. I leave the choice of targets up to you. Begin your attack. Unrestricted firing. Understood, sir. Thank you for granting us excellent targets. Everyone, commence unrestricted firing. First one in. When 410 scratched the air with her finger, a golden bow appeared in an empty space, and she pulled its string. The golden arrow that had been readied there was fired off without any hesitation, flew around the room leaping haphazard gold curves everywhere, and chose Natsuhi from among these sitting at the table of the family conference, pulverizing the left half of her face. Whoa. Flesh and deep red blood scattered around, leaving massive red spatter marks on the relatives' faces and the pure white tablecloth. Silence fell. Despite the massive number of deep red spots left on the tablecloth, no one can understand why Natsuhi's head was half smashed, nor why she was hanging her head as though dozing while still sitting. And they watched on in silence. Those sitting on Natsuhi's right-hand side were silent for a relatively long time. but those sitting to her left were not, because the people sitting on that side had been shown how her head had been smashed open like a watermelon or a pomegranate, and could even see inside her. Natsuhi. One down. Natsuhi, is it? A luckless woman to the end. Next. 00 firing. After scratching the empty air in the same way and readying her bow, 00 fired as well. After it flew around and around at high speeds like the golden arrow 410 had released, drawing a convoluted curve in the same manner, it smashed half of Rudolph's head in the same way it looked at Natsuhi in shock, killing him instantly. This time, everyone managed to avoid freezing up mentally. They realized that the fearsome murder had started playing out right in front of them, just as Kinzo had said, and they realized that Kinzo probably kill even more. Shrill screams burst out. Even so, they didn't know what to do, so they could only keep screaming and flapping their wide-open mouths like goldfish. Father, what do you think you're doing? You fool, run now! As Eva asked Kinzo that in total shock, Hideyoshi, who had come to his senses faster than anyone else and risen to his feet, pulled at her arm from behind. Yeah, Hideyoshi's down. Merciless fate's choice for the third sacrifice was Hideyoshi. Just like the two before him, half of his head was neatly smashed, and the right side of his head, which had happened to be facing the direction at that time, had been blown away with its contents exposed like a watermelon or a pomegranate. Still holding Eva, Hideyoshi slumped backwards and fell down. She still held by her beloved husband, Eva fell over backwards with him. Here. Eva screamed. It was only natural. The face she had been looking for had been half lost, and the crushed skull, the mashed brains, and the crushed jaw all lay bare. 45 impact. It's a hit. Spectacular. Fire again. 3 more remain. Father, what is this supposed to be? When Kraus stood up forcefully and was about to rush Kinzo, 00 blocked him. With her slender-looking body, she had held back Kraus with just the palm of her right hand. He still tried to resist and attack Kinzo, so 00 lifted Kraus by the nape of the neck and twisted into his Adam's apple with her thumb. It seemed to be very painful, and Kraus was overcome with agony. Everyone run! Get the police! An ambulance! Quickly! Everyone, let's escape! Nanjo's sharp words finally dissolved the spell that had been holding down the rest of their chairs. When Goda and Kumasawa each tried to escape from the dining hall first, 410 moved in an instant and appeared there, blocking the way. You sure are slow, Nya. Did you think I'd let you escape, Nya? Goda, duck! Even though Goda didn't understand, he crouched when he heard Kairi's sharp voice. Then a burst of air rushed above his head. Kairi had taken a big swing with a chair to mow 410 down. Kairi always fighting back, hell yeah. But 410, still with a mocking expression, easily caught the widely swung chair with a single hand. What a scary woman, Nya. You really want to go the same way as your husband that much? From the cuff of the arm where she had caught the chair, something like a shiny golden snake appeared, wrapped itself around the chair and burst open. It was a fearsome power, like a vice. When Kiri realized that being in front of her, which looked like a girl, was actually something that surpassed human knowledge, and that a human could not even begin to oppose, her head was filled with a fierce alarm bell that welled up from deep inside her. Genji, Shannon, and Kanon, all of the servants permitted to wear the one-winged eagle, continued to stand calmly at attention by the wall, even with a scene like this before their eyes, making them look very bizarre and eerie. For an instant, Kiri thought they'd managed to stay calm because they were with the enemy, and had been given a guarantee that they would not be killed. Yeah. But as soon as she saw that, the sight of Genji's face was blown away before her eyes. Genji? 45 impact, it's a hit. Oh, Genji, how unfortunate. Rest in peace, my friend. Your death will not be wasted. You will become one of the 13 keys essential to the resurrection of my beloved witch. Whoa. Great, thank you for the raid. Hi, raiders. Welcome, welcome. Hope you are having a good day. My name is Rysair, tournament organizer and VTuber. I largely play fighting games and visual novels on this channel. We are currently playing a visual novel. We are playing Umineko When They Cry, episode 4. So we are quite deep into this story. If you want to avoid spoilers, I recommend you take some self-care. If you have to do that as well, please do so. If you want to avoid spoilers, please do not watch. If you do want to watch this from the beginning, I have it on my YouTube. So you can go to my YouTube and watch this from the beginning. This is our 23rd stream of this. So there's quite a lot of content. If you like hearing me read. Hi, Frey. How you doing? For those of you who aren't familiar with Frey, definitely check them out. A lot of good content, comfy chill content, so definitely check them out.
You gotta really keep face
Five
there.
Nights at Freddy's, Pog. How was your
You
stream?
see
Hopefully it
this
was
face?
good. If
This
you gotta
is
go
the
do
face
your
when your
thing,
mother
please
comes
do
up.
so. If you want to hang out with us, you are also welcome to do that. Hi, Misa. Thank you for the head pat.
And that's
But yeah, this story is really, really good. It's just really long. Hopefully you can sit around and enjoy. We'll be going to the end of this chapter, which everyone's like dying right now, so it appears as though we're at the end of this chapter. So we won't be going for too much longer. Yeah, we'll get comfy and finish out. Yeah. The half of Genshi's expression that remained was as indifferent as ever. He tilted, fell over, and sent a blood-red splatter out across the floor. Genji. We're nothing more than the witch's pieces. Nothing more. Nothing more. From the meek and frustrated, no, resigned expressions on Shannon and Cannon's faces, one couldn't sense any naive hopes that they'd be rescued. That's right. Kinzo was, in the truest sense, carrying out the murders at random. In the truest sense, he was killing it like it was a game to see who would be saved and who would be killed. Well then, who will go for next, Nya? 410 looked at Kiri for a second. In that second, Kiri was prepared for her own death. But it was when she readied her golden bow in midair, 410 was looking at someone else over Kiri's shoulder. So as imprudent as it was, Kiri felt as though she had been saved. Double kill? Again, an ugly exploding popping sound rang through the room. Who was it this time? When Kiri turned to face the direction of the sound, she saw blood gushing like a fountain and Ava lying on her husband's chest. Of course, her face had been half smashed, just like her husband's. 410 had mercilessly targeted Ava as she'd clung to her husband's corpse, sobbing. Wait, so Ava dies? If Ava dies, there's something in... What is the story behind the timing of all this? Because Ava's alive after Rokkenshima in Angie's world, in Angie's timeline, right? But in this timeline now she's dying, so I guess it's more about the closed box of what happened on Rokkenshima. Nissan, let go of Nissan. Just stop it, father. Stop this brutality. Run away, Rosa. The two bottled messengers also had her die. They also had Ava die, even though she was alive? Interesting. Run away, Rosa. Rosa's object didn't reach Kinzo as he continued to laugh loudly in the blood-spattered dining hall, and she was able to lessen Krause's pain at being lifted up by the nape of the neck by Double O. And the message bottles, Ava... Oh, yeah. The ones at the end of the episodes you're talking about? I don't know. Obviously, there's some inconsistencies in the story. So we'll have to see how they get explained. Oh, the ones in Angie's timeline. Interesting. I don't think I remember them directly saying that. Because that's a contradiction, right? Like, wouldn't Angie have brought up that that's a contradiction? I might have just missed the line that mentioned that. So Rosa had no choice but to use force. She lifted up a chair beside her and gave a warning. Father, order her to let go of Nissan. Just stop them from doing this. Oh, is Kinzo going to be the sixth death? I cannot. If that's what you desire, then prevent it using your own power. Cut a path through to your own fate with your own hands. You who have always hid behind the backs of others in fear. Let me see you overcome your weakness one last time in your life. Father. The chair that Rosa had lifted up swung down at the father who had reigned as a symbol of terror for her entire life. It was the greatest and final act of bravery and self-control in Rosa's life. What Kinzo had said might have been true. If she had grasped that courage much sooner, her life might have become more free, unrestrained by anyone else. Then there was a bursting sound. The sound of Rosa's chair fiercely hitting Kinzo could not have been this. With the chair lifted up, she neatly lost half of her head and slumped over. Still holding Krause up with one hand, Double O had stuck out her other hand towards Rosa. The golden snake released from the arm had constricted Rosa in a helix and had smashed into her head. Defensive firing. I apologize for the discourtesy of shooting so close to you, sir. I care not. So that makes 6. Yes, Lord Goldsmith. This makes 6 people. When she indifferently communicated that, Double O let go of Kraus, whom she had been lifting up, and let go of him. Indeed. So the sacrifices of the first Twilight were Eva, Rudolph, Rosa, Natsuhi, Hideyoshi, and Genji. What a wacky group of sacrifices. It was a massacre that happened in an instant. The interior of the dining hall had been dirtied by blood splatter, and the 6 unlucky victims lay with their heads brutally exposed. In a way that was fitting for that abnormal space, Kinzo's abnormal laugh alone echoed out. The curtain has finally risen. The ceremony to revive Beatrice has begun. You lucky ones who have managed to escape the first Twilight, allow me to introduce you to my friends. Arise, my friend, Ranov. The god. When Kinzo called Renov's name, the demon butler showed himself in midair, bowing respectfully. Pleased to meet you, everyone. And good day to those of you I haven't seen for a long time. It seems this place is once again spectacularly untidy. Pay and don't mind. It takes a stimulant of this level to wake me from my daydream-like days. Allow me to introduce my great friend, a reliable butler and one of the 72 great demons, Renov. I am pleased to make your acquaintance. Just who was he making that introduction to? Kraus and Kiri, who were still down on their backsides, and Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa, could only look up at this middle-aged gentleman they didn't know in shock. Only Shannon and Cannon seemed to recognize him, and they bowed deeply. So, I wasn't able to greet Genji. I hope he was at least able to fulfill his purpose painlessly. It was an instant death from a direct hit to the head. He didn't have time to feel the pain. Is that so? Very well. Allow me to introduce another friend. Arise, my friend, Virgilia. Once again, a silhouette of someone the relatives didn't know appeared from an empty space. She appeared in a refined dress while making an elegant greeting. Thank you for summoning me, Master. Although I would rather not have been summoned into a bloody place such as this. Allow me to introduce her too. This is both my friend and reliable counselor, Virgilia. So in this world, Goldsmith controls all these folks. I desire to borrow your great power as the Witch of the Finite. Lend it to me. Even if I tried to refuse, such a thing wouldn't be permitted for one subordinated by the power of your summonings. As you wish, Master. Still, what a fearsome fellow. To think he summoned 3 of the Chester sisters, then me, and even Virgilia. Even though it's only in the area of summoning to think that he surpassed Milady so thoroughly. Even though it's only in the area of summoning to think he has surpassed Milady so thoroughly. How frightening. I can't help but shudder at the Ushiromiya blood. In order to carry out Beatrice's resurrection ceremony, I shall give it my all as a summoner. This still isn't enough. In order to perfectly succeed the ceremony this time, I shall summon more. The Pendragon Memorial Troops and Renov and Virgilia? I can still call more. With my magical power, I can still call many more. Answer to my summons. One of the 72 demons? Gap? Gap? The demon of Strive? Gap? This is true fighting game advice right here. Did they talk about Gap? The name is familiar. You can even materialize her? It probably means that the corrosion has advanced even more on this island. It has already proceeded far enough to materialize us. By now, we shouldn't be surprised no matter how great a demon he summons. Has Rokonjima already been completely sucked into a parallel world then? I hope he does not surrender. He learned a lot last time, correct? After all this time, he won't surrender over this much. Probably, I should say. Oh, they're talking about Battler. Well then, shall we enjoy the stage we now stand upon? It seems the main character is the master this time. Let us expect a script of a different flavor than Milady's. Incoming Gap. When Kinzo strongly concentrated his magical power, a pale light gathered in the empty air, twisted. And a magic circle was drawn there with a deep red glow. Whoa. Oh, shit.
よくぞ我が呼びかけに応えた。
A new demon can be seen. You did well to answer my call. Gap. One of the 72 great demons. Gap. One of the 72 great demons. Also Beatrice's friend. When a magician demands it, she grants the ability of instantaneous movement. Oh, shoot. She uses this extraordinary power for playing pranks mostly. Her specialty is hiding keys and bags during busy mornings. That's funny. That's actually really funny. However, in the context of closed room mysteries, this power becomes an ultimate weapon that can easily strike a finishing blow. Her queen bee strikes are likely to pierce any and all detectives, forcing them to surrender. Hell yeah. New main in the fighting game. She's kind of sick. This is one hell of a place you've summoned me to. Did you call me to clean up this bloodstained room? When one of my other friends was playing it, they mentioned her name way earlier. So I'm guessing they mentioned her early, but not as a real character. Yeah, I think they were just talking about the great demons. Because I remember I made the Gap joke. I definitely made that joke. I think they were just, when they first introduced Renove, they were talking about like some of the great demons, yeah. You called me to clean up this bloodstained rune, Goldsmith? The literally devilish woman wrapped in a venomous, ominous costume looked at the scene that should have made her cover her eyes and twisted her mouth in a grin. To summon you for such a reason would be like using a cashmere muffler to mop the floor. It's been a long time, Gap. To think that a great demon such as yourself has finally appeared on this island. Perhaps this island finally is submerged completely into fantasy. It is getting more and more ridiculous every episode too, right? Like, it was super grounded episode 1. This all-star cast is even more surprising than the gruesome state of the room. Also worth mentioning, the way that these sacrifices died in this episode is very similar to how they died in episode 1, with half their face smashed. A full 3 Chester sisters, the Great Demon Renove, the Great Witch Vergilia, and even me. What's going on? Is this pandemonium? Are you trying to start a concert from hell or something? I see. As a conductor for that, I couldn't think of anyone better than you, Goldsmith. I will have your assistance as a facilitator in the completion of my ceremony to resurrect Beatrice. You have no objections to my summoning contract, correct? Of course not. There's no way I could resist the subordinating power of the legendary Great Summoner, Lord Goldsmith, who forced the famous Great Witch Beatrice to do his bidding. I'll assist you, although I will of course ask a fitting price. So, what's my first job? Capture the cowards who made it through the first twilight. Fortunately, there are still 7 here, aren't there? Nanjo, Shannon, Cannon, Goda, Kumasawa, Kairi, and Kraus. Oh, if these 7 are offered as sacrifices, that's exactly 13 people. Until it's time for the second and later twilights to be carried out, throw them into the cage of sacrifices. A cashmere mop, huh? Understood. As Gap shrugged her shoulders, she looked at Kraus, who was still down on his butt. She glared. Then, when she snapped her fingers, Kraus was swallowed up by the floor as though a round pitfall had opened up beneath him. 1 down. There was no hole in the floor, but it had certainly looked as though Kraus had been swallowed up by a hole and disappeared. Searching for her next prey, Gap's gaze crossed Kairi's. She snapped her fingers. Kairi jumped back as though repelled. Her instincts had been right. After all, in a place where she'd been in until a second ago, a round jet black hole had appeared, and the same kind that had swallowed up Kraus. However, before she could catch her balance, another pitfall appeared and swallowed her up. When Kiri had no way of eluding Gap's capture... Oh, she must be sick in the fighting game. Gap? In Golden Fantasia? She must be sick. When she snapped her fingers again, a shocked Nanjo was swallowed up by the floor and disappeared. When she did it again, 401 let out a short yell and jumped back. This time, a slightly larger pitfall had opened, swallowing both Shannon and Cannon, who had been standing in the line by the door. But because 410 had jumped away from the door, the way was no longer blocked. Instinctively aware of what would be next, Goda dashed out through that door. Of course, Kumasawa also escaped with lightning speed, chasing after Goda. As Gap snapped her fingers over and over, round jet black pitfalls opened one after the other behind them, chasing them. However, they did nothing but drive the recklessly fleeing pair away and couldn't swallow them up. Goda and Kumasawa had escaped in a matter of seconds. I've gotten slow. I let two get away. Don't worry, we are currently locking onto the escapee targets. Data link ready. Shall we snipe? No, I cannot authorize that. They are precious sacrifices. Wait for the Master's authorization. Great Lord Goldsmith, we await your orders. It is still too soon for the coming of the second twilight. It is what the source of my magical power is whispering to me. It must not be now. Let them do as they please. It isn't as though they can escape from this island. The source of the Master's magical power is noise and risk to take and tests of luck. Noise and risk and tests of luck. Oh, in other words, it means being fickle, it would seem. Perhaps you could put it that way. Good work, Gap. Let's steadily advance the ceremony from here on. Well then, is that it? Next are my grandchildren. I will test them to see whether they are qualified to become my successor. Let's see. How shall I test their qualifications? If you decide that they're qualified, do you intend to abandon Beto's resurrection? Of course. And despite that, I will test them. Perhaps a woman cannot understand that contradiction, nor my madness. Well, apparently men are as weird as ever. I don't get the very concept of playing around with risk. Oh my. And I thought you loved that sort of thing. Of course. If a man whispers to me about dangerous risks in love, I go head over heels. But only if he's hot. Oh god. Be quiet. Try to refrain from whispering. Truly noisy women. But at least they aren't boring. This is what makes summoning so pleasant. All of you will bear one side of the scales of noise and risk in my ceremony. This is the work I expect of you. 6 brutally murdered corpses lay in the dining hall, and it was contaminated with red, gruesome decorations. It was now unimaginable that, until just seconds ago, 13 humans had been arranged here in a well-organized manner. Kinzo lined up the famous demons and their subordinates, loudly declared the beginning of a night of overwhelming mass murders, and swore to himself that he would certainly revive Beatrice and open the door to the Golden Land. Oh my god, Beatrice, hi. Sorry to keep you waiting. Now the curtain finally rises on the first twilight. That Kinzo. I see he loves being flashy as usual. So, even that man who could be more persistent than anything when he follows you around can shine so when he's on stage. Damn. Always killing in a grotesque way, as usual. Smashing half their heads? The bad taste you witches and demons have always pisses me off. Smashing half their heads, I see. So she's realized that, in the games up until now, that's been the most ideal method of killing. Ideal? How is such a grotesque way of killing ideal? Isn't it though? Trying to remember the very first game. You're just the new demon or whatever just appeared. Damn. Does that mean the witch's corrosion continued, and there are now even more creeps wandering around? The more the witch's corrosion advances, the more Rokonjima tilts toward the spirit world. That's why strange, insane people keep appearing one by one. This island has been closed off by the typhoon, so no human can leave it, much less appear as a new character to increase their numbers. But the more the corrosion advances, the more witches and demons can appear, without limit, increasing one by one. But now there may be more demons than humans among the characters appearing in this insane tale. Their numbers might even be the thing that represents this mad corrosion. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And the corrosion hasn't just affected the number of people, but apparently their fashion sense as well. The corrosion advances any further and even more weird people appear. Just what in the world will they be wearing? It's so scary, I can't imagine. Ah, seriously, give me a break. Don't make these weird guys increase in number anymore. Can't do that. They'll keep increasing more and more. I'll defile the foolish closed circle rule humans speak of over and over again. Welcome to my elegant game, Gap. It's been a long time. Riche. Riche, that's a cute nickname. Have you been well? Why do I ask? You look great. Have you gotten younger? You look 200 or 300 years younger than when I last saw you. Ah, I see. The demon grandfather had summoned and introduced as Gap took a glance at me and then grinned as though she'd figured something out on her own. That smile felt openly obscene. I guess she's Beto's friend, which means she's got to be a creep among creeps. By the way, they were saying something about closed circle or whatever. What does that mean? Serial murder mystery novels that occur in places isolated from the outside world, like Rokkenjima, are sometimes called closed circles. Since such a place is isolated from the outside, it's like a circle that's closed. Therefore, in general, the characters in Suspect are limited in number. Having new Suspect candidate added on one after the other from outside the circle goes against the etiquette of mystery novels. In other words, the witch is probably trying to desecrate humans and the mystery genre itself. You're Gretel? I see. You look like a wise kid. I love kids like you. You taste so sweet and tantalizing. Hansel and Gretel reference, I guess. Gross. Keep the jokes to your clothing. It's Devilish Pretty's newest Jack the Ripper Christmas blood. That's fashion? Is she talking about fashion? Sorry for having a style that a country bumpkin from the human world couldn't understand. Gap is kind of OD. Like I like Gap a lot. At least we know it's well ventilated. Why don't you add a gap to that head part as well? Let a little air into your brain. Gap is always sensitive to the fashions of the spirit world, but this year's fad is truly bold. I think I'll order one sometime. For you, Riche, I'd recommend Ali Gray, Alice in the Graveyard. Let's go to 666 sometime and look at the clothes. You really should drop by the spirit world every now and then. When this game is over, I'll be sure to do that. Oh, they're just chilling. Still, your two opponents are pretty cute, Riche. Looks like the kid has figured out the meaning of the corpses with their heads half smashed. Nah, know what that is, girl? Just now, she told me to remember the first game. What did that mean? Well, it's simple. In this case, it's so you can't deny that these are actually the people that died. It's just what it sounded like. Remember the first Twilight in the very first game? When the adults' corpses were found in the gardening shed with the magic circle drawn on it. Episode 1, the first Twilight. They all died. Devilish Pretty is a reference to the IRL fashion brand Angelic Pretty. I did not know that. That's cool. All 6 of them had their heads pulverized and died. At that time, there were 2 types of corpses. Some had their faces pulverized and some had half of it. That's right. The ones with their faces smashed were Rudolph, Kiri, Rosa, and Goda. The ones with the sides of their heads smashed in were Kraus and Shannon. At the time, I ficklessly created 2 types of corpses, but I realized that the former, more atrocious type was actually disadvantageous for me. I see. So that's what this is. That's right. The smashed faces might look atrocious, but that made it hard to confirm the identity of each person. For example, at the time, Uncle Kraus and Shannon had their heads half smashed. That alone was atrocious enough, but because half of their faces remained, it was easy to confirm their identities. But Dad and the other 3 were different. Because his face had been completely destroyed, even I, as his son, could only guess by inference that it had to be Dad because of the clothes and the like. In short, it remained a vague until the end whether it was really had been Dad's corpse. If this reasoning battle had taken place during the first game as well, I would probably have claimed that, since the identities of Dad and the rest's bodies were impossible to confirm, there was a possibility that one was a fake corpse. After all, Beto didn't state anything in red during that game. Well done, correct. A fake death is one of the basics of the mystery genre. Even if you make a doctor examine the corpse, you can't trust the results if you suspect him of being the culprit's accomplice. Therefore, corpses that can't guarantee a death for certain are always disadvantageous for the witch's side. You can suspect fake deaths for all corpses, hypothesizing that one or more of them is the culprit for the crimes that follow. It's a move Battler doesn't like, but it's the most elementary move to use against a witch. Yeah. That's why Beto started using the red. With the red truth, she can carry out a perfect autopsy. That's how it is. Normally, for the first Twilight, I would use the red truth right away, confirming the deaths of these 6. However, as you know, my battle strategy this time is the complete opposite of previous games, and I'll now use the red truth's starvation tactics. Since you use it as a grounding from which to counterattack, I will not use the red easily. I'll make you come apart at the seams by using red in just a single place, as rarely as possible. In the end, it means I will permit all rants regarding your guesswork for all the closed rooms. And I only have to smash one of these once with the red truth. Even though you're always teased me, once I start counterattacking, you now hole up back inside your shell. Quit kidding around. At any rate, I don't want to use the red, I don't want to be stingy. I want to bully Battler. But how could I guarantee a death for certain without using the red? I worried and worried over it. Then, Gap gave me an idea. It is truly a simple method. I just pointed out something obvious and you hit upon the idea, Riche. I simply said that you only had to create a corpse whose identity could be distinguished and whose complete death would be understood. In short, I put these two things together. Now, I'm going to pause here and say, I still don't buy it until she says it in the red. If she's using this technique where she leaves half their face as a way to confirm that they are dead and confirm their identity, but then never states that they actually died, they might not have died. This might be smoke and mirrors. You could claim this is smoke and mirrors. It would probably very easily get destroyed with the red, but it would make her use the red. Now, it's kind of a weak sauce place to claim in blue that they're not actually dead, but it could give you something in the red for later. Once you'd have to think quickly, but there is no cost to saying, oh, they're not actually dead, even though it'll get thwarted pretty quickly. When I put those two parts neatly together, wonderful. I came up with the perfect answer of corpses with their heads half smashed. I bet you love two-colored bread and two-colored ice cream. You're just like a greedy kid. At any rate, even if half of their heads are smashed, we shouldn't assume that they're dead. That's why she's the goat. That's why Angie's the goat. I get it. Since Beto is trying to act tough and is refusing to say anything in red, we gotta suspect everything. Of course, I'm definitely not gonna swallow the theory of magical mass murder by the Chester Nechans. Chester-ass Nechans. Yeah, I mean, anything could be destroyed by the red. It's just what can she actually deny? Yeah, no, you need to machine gun barrage it in blue. So there's just no cost to throwing that out there in blue. You sure have gotten prudent. If this were the first game, you would have swallowed everything. I wouldn't have anything less from a rival. Since there's fortunately no red now, he can imagine whatever he wants and reason over and over again as he likes. At the very end, at the very sweetest spot, I'll cut him down once with the red truth. Beautiful. Great spot to stop. This story is so good. This is Rosa in the dungeon. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this after next time. Well, it's a little eerie sound effect to end on. All right, but thank you everybody for hanging out and watching. I had a lot of fun tonight. I hope you did too. Thank you for the raiders, the new followers. I will probably be on tomorrow with more Umineko. I have a work function, so I don't know how late that's gonna go. So there's a chance I won't be on tomorrow. If I'm not on tomorrow, I will probably be on Wednesday. I think, because I think Imperius Club is back and is able to run Grand Blue. So if not tomorrow, then Wednesday. But I'm gonna try for tomorrow, even if it's just for like 1 or 2 chapters a little later in the evening. I'm pretty sure I'll be home by like 8 or... Let's see, who do we raid? Thanks for streams. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, as always. I appreciate y'all for watching. For stream, yeah. Looking for someone to raid. Send it over to Zephyr, who's playing X. Thank you for your patience. I will catch y'all maybe tomorrow. But yeah. Bye bye.